Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your TWitWoW monthly Q&A. It is our 40th monthly Q&A. It's crazy to think, guys, that we have been doing this for over 3 years now. Blows my mind, but apparently we're still going strong as ever because we ended up with a grand total of 49 questions this month. It's actually a little bit of a spike from the last couple months. It's the first time that we've been close to 50 in a few months. So I'm excited to answer a lot of these. I know we got a lot of really fun questions, a lot of Halloween and horror movie based questions. So I'm very excited to answer these. John, how are you feeling about our 40th Q&A?
Bro, I'm shocked as hell. I gotta be truthful with you, because the way it was looking, I didn't even know if we were gonna crack 40 questions. I shouldn't be surprised, though. You guys always come through in the clutch right at the very tail end, and you did so again here. But, dude, given the volume of questions, I just want to dive right into these. So let's get started.
All right, awesome. We've got 3 to start from Hypothesis. He's always the first one to get his in, I think. So the first one from Hypothesis is, for both of us, do you think WWE would have crowned a better King of the Ring if Brock Lesnar didn't challenge the WWE champion?
Maybe. I don't know, though. I feel like it was never going to be Andrade, which would have been the ultimate booking to me, especially with how Ashton laid it out on Twitter.
I still have the theory that it was supposed to be Andrade originally, and then Ric Flair decided he wanted to sue Becky, so to punish Charlotte, they stopped pushing Andrade.
Yeah, which, see, fuck you, Rick. If that's true, fuck Ric Flair. Because politics, once again, ruining something beautiful in wrestling. Name a more iconic duo. So, yeah, I honestly can't say for sure Hypothesis. I guess inclinations would say yes if the whole Brock thing didn't go through. But at the end of the day, even if they did, it's WWE. I'm still kind of in a sour place with them, to say the least. They would have mucked it up regardless. How do you feel about it, Ashton?
Yeah, I really don't think that it would have changed anything. And the thing is, like, it was their idea in the first place. Like, they were the ones who came up with the idea of Brock challenging the WWE champion. So you're basically saying, like, hey, would WWE had done a better job with this idea if WWE hadn't decided to run with this other idea? And it's like, well, yeah, of course. You know, like if they didn't decide to run with the bad idea, they probably would have done better with another idea. You know, like, I don't know. It just seems like a self-defeating question to me. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So next question from Hypothesis.
This is just for you, John. Do you ever plan on going to the Isle of Dolls to stay true to Lucha Underground's portrayal of you?
Maybe. I don't know. I got to figure out a retirement plan in case my philosophy days ever come to an end. So, yeah, I guess that's something to think about.
I literally realized what he was referring to as I was reading that question, which is why I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
Next question.
Yep. This one's actually just for me. Given that there's a Galarian Weezing, will there be a Galarian Arbok, and Team Rocket will own both in the anime? That's an interesting theory. I don't hate that theory. I'm kind of over Team Rocket. I'm like, if you ever want me to watch the anime again, you'll do something a little more interesting with the antagonists. And Team Rocket is not an interesting antagonist anymore. They stopped being interesting after, like, the 50th time that they blasted off again. So, yeah, I mean, they're fine, but hoping for more interesting, more compelling villains. That's, I think, why XYZ was so much more interesting, because XYZ had some seriously nefarious villains. So, anyway, though, let's move on to our 5 questions from Super Blue. First up, it's for both of us. How do you feel about women being legally able to go topless in public in 6 states? And he linked to an article about this, and apparently it's something to do with, it's basically being ruled unconstitutional to make women not go topless. And it's the 6 states are Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, New Mexico, Kansas, and Oklahoma. And now it says that it means it's illegal now for any town in any of those states to create a law forbidding public toplessness.
Look, guys, I've always been of the type that I think these issues are kind of tangential to other issues when it comes to bodily autonomy. And
Namely, in this
so
case, separation of church and state.
that as well. That as well, I definitely think is a part of it. So, bodily autonomy, separation of church and state. So, I'm in favor of all of that. I mean, yeah, I'm totally cool with it. I think the more weird thing is like not being cool with that. How many men do we see in summertime go shirtless, like walking down the block? Like it should be no different. Like, and that's the thing too. If people would be like, well, what about this or that? Like that's on the other person. The woman can control what she does. I can only control like how I respond to that. And I think the answer is to respond like a fucking human being with some decency. So, yeah, I have no qualms with it whatsoever. I actually celebrate it. I think this is a great step in the right direction.
Yeah. Second question from Super Blue is just for me. How do you feel about the NFL season so far? It's fucking sucked, man. I've really NFL season so far. I like NFL seasons with really good quarterback play, and all of the quarterbacks that I was excited for either retired before the season, like Andrew Luck, got injured, like Patrick Mahomes, or just playing like shit, like Baker Mayfield. So I've really not been liking the season at all. And who's undefeated? The fucking Patriots. Who's go to the Super Bowl again? The fucking Patriots. I'm getting really sick of the dynasty, but the really big problem is it's a dynasty because the rest of the teams haven't caught up with them yet. Because all the other teams in the NFL are just fucking dumb too. So the Patriots have at least figured out some things, and the things that they figure out have given them enough of an advantage to be a perpetual dynasty. So yeah, fuck the rest of the NFL for not finally managing to take down the Patriots. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Where's your activism, NFL? Take down the dynasty. We need other teams to prosper for a goddamn change.
I'll tell you what, it's interesting because the Ravens are finally starting to catch on to some things, but now they've got a quarterback who kind of like forces them to play left-handed. Like their quarterback is a really amazing athlete and this great runner, but as a passer, he's only just mediocre, and passing is how you win in the NFL. So the Ravens are kind of being forced to try and win an inefficient way, and it's working sometimes, but the problem is you're not going to beat the Patriots that way. And they face the Patriots this coming week. So it's going to be very telling to see if the shit that Baltimore has been doing can work against an actual good defense, and I really don't think it will. So I guess we'll see. That's definitely the match, the game that I'm looking most forward to, though, this weekend is New England versus Baltimore. But yeah, like I said, we'll see. Third question from Super Blue. How do you feel about Spider-Man returning to the MCU?
I'm happy as fuck about it. Me and Ash were just talking about Spider-Man the other night. Yep. Guys, I gotta let you know, just because I think it is relevant to this question, like Far From Home is my new favorite like MCU film. Just because like Mysterio was great, and Ash actually kind of smartened me up. He said Mysterio has always been kind of treated as legit in the comics, but I grew up primarily on the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I know of Mysterio from is that he was the one that caused the sort of dystopian Wolverine that we kind of get glimpses of in the movie Logan. Because in the comics, the whole Old Man Logan storyline is caused by Mysterio's illusions causing Wolverine to kill all of the other X-Men, including Professor X, I think, actually in the comics. I don't remember that one for sure, but yeah. Mysterio fucks Wolverine's life up.
Yeah, and like seeing him treated almost on that level in the movie, like immediately. And especially because, look, I love Thanos. Like Josh Brolin, he fucking killed it, like all that stuff. But what I love about Mysterio, it's a villain that's exploiting very real world fears that we're experiencing in our present age, which I think makes him more grounded and definitely more resonant to the viewing audience. And then Peter actually becoming Spider-Man in my mind in like the final 10, 15 minutes of the film. Yes. Like just, and it's really just the whole arc of him accepting the responsibility, realizing that he's condemned in this responsibility, but he finds the joy in it of being Spider-Man, and he goes and he does it. It's a fantastic piece. I know there's been a whole debate lately from like more seasoned and senior directors, like about what the MCU films are. But this was genuinely good cinema.
Like Scorsese and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think, I could see their argument to a point, but I think Far From Home is a genuinely good piece of cinema. When you take away all the superhero trappings, it's somebody just ultimately accepting, the role that they've been put in. and he just does it in such a badass way. So yeah, I definitely think it's my new favorite MCU film. So to circle back around to your initial question, I'm stoked about it because who is the actor's name that plays Spider-Man?
Tom Holland?
I knew it was Tom something, but I knew it wasn't Tom Hardy. Tom Holland, I know he was going to play Spider-Man regardless. Like, he loves the role. He was happy that he got to stay in the
role
MCU.
loves him.
It does. It does. this is the definitive Spider-Man, I think. If nobody fucks anything up, it's the definitive Spider-Man.
I'm excited too because I've actually heard, you mentioned Tom Hardy. I've actually heard that Tom Hardy's Venom and Tom Holland's Spider-Man are supposed to interact at some point in the MCU Spider-Man universe.
It's going to be amazing. Hello, Tom. Hello, Tom.
But still, like, when I first heard that, I got all kinds of tinglies and goosebumps and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's going to be wonderful, dude. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. All right. Our fourth question now from Super Blue. What is the difference between Kushida kicking Walter's ass in a losing effort and Riho beating someone the size of Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship?
You know what? I feel like we get questions like this every so often. I want you to go first on this. I want to hear your rationale on this, if you agree or disagree.
Okay, yeah. So, for me, now, I don't want to speak for John here because I don't know necessarily if we completely agree on our reasoning here. For me, I see Walter as this big technical beast. And when I see Nyla Rose, I just see a big, sloppy, green wrestler. So I think the biggest difference to me is that Riho is like an 11-year or a 9-year or like a 10 or 11, I think it's 11 or 12 actually, year veteran of the business. She is very technically sound. She's faced giants like Nyla Rose many a times in her career and beaten them. She can handle someone like Nyla Rose, especially when they're green and inexperienced and not actually good at wrestling like Nyla. On the other hand, Kushida, call him a technical savant if you want. He was in the junior heavyweight division for a reason. He never beat heavyweights in New Japan. They kept him away from heavyweights. And yeah, he dominated in the junior heavyweight division, but he also never beat heavyweights. Even in his go-away match, in his retirement match against Tanahashi, he took an L. So Kushida was never a guy that beat heavyweights. And now you bring him over to WWE and you put him into the ring with a guy like Walter, who is the size of a heavyweight and can go from a technical wrestling perspective. There is zero believability in somebody like Kushida beating Walter. Because I basically try and look at it as traits. Like, you look at Riho versus Nyla Rose, and it's not one-sided. Nyla has the power advantage. Riho has the speed and the agility and the technique and all kinds of other advantages. The only thing that Nyla has on Riho is size and strength. Whereas you look at Walter and Kushida, Kushida has speed and agility on Walter, but Walter has such a huge size and strength advantage, and their technique isn't really that different. I think that they are both very technically sound. So to me, that's more of an even matchup, and if anything, because of the sheer size and power of Walter, I find it hard to believe Kushida's strikes and stuff hurting Walter at all. So to me, if Kushida was going to beat Walter, I would more expect him to go the high-flying route and using his speed and quickness to beat Walter, but that's not Kushida's style. Kushida's style is ground and pound and submissions and stuff. And somebody that size beating somebody's Walter size with that style of wrestling is not believable to me.
You know what? That was so perfectly articulated that I don't even want to add on to it because, I mean, yeah, I will readily co-sign on that. I think that was a perfect explanation. I've got nothing to add. Let's move on.
I think that the styles are almost as big of a deal as far as lacking believability as the size, because Kushida, he can get away with all this technical, like, I'm going to grab your arm and wrap it around your back and do all kinds of damage to your ligaments and stuff. He can get away with that against guys that are his size, but you put him against a 300-pounder, and why in the world am I supposed to expect to believe that that big son of a bitch is going to allow Kushida to manipulate his joints like that? There's no way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I completely
Whereas
agree.
with Riho's entire offense is just throwing herself at her opponent and hoping something lands. Like, she does cross bodies and stomps and drop kicks and knees, and that is 100% believable on an opponent that's bigger. Whereas with Kushida, his is very technical and grounded, and like, he basically tries to wrestle like a big man, but when you're going against someone that's twice your size, you look completely not believable.
Right. I hear that. Yeah.
So there you go, Super Blue. Hopefully that clears things up a little bit. Next up, our fifth and final question from Super Blue: cut a promo on DIY getting mugged by Undisputed Era and Finn Balor, and then he added Happy Halloween and Poor Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, really, I don't even want to go hard on Ciampa Daddy because anybody would have lost, like, you know, a 4-on-1
A 4-on-1,
situation.
yeah, that's the thing. Ciampa put up more of a fight than we could have expected.
Yeah, and he even tried, because you saw right before the numbers really got on him, it was like, oh, you know, I'm going to get a few punches in here, I'm going to really fight at him, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Johnny, though, got fucking wrecked.
He did, dude. Finn hit him with 3 offensive maneuvers, and each one of them hurt more than the last. Like, that initial Pele kick was stiff as fuck.
I mean, Johnny, your life got fucking ruined. How does that even
Finn
feel?
starts taking his jacket off, and he's just like, I'm about to ruin this man's whole career.
Damn.
It's like, oh wow, I didn't know that you really hated Undisputed Era that much. And he's just like, no, that not them, this one. And then he flips to the Pele and just caves Johnny's skull in. Jesus Christ.
And he's just like, ruined my career. I've heard that before. Oh God! And then the shotgun drop kick that exploded the barricade. And
then the Bloody Sunday that was even worse than those two because it literally sent Johnny to the fucking hospital to get staples. God damn.
No, please, no. Bloody Sunday. And he's just malfunctioning on the fucking floor while he lays there and dies. God, Johnny, you fucking suck. I am so happy you got destroyed. Oh, that was beautiful, man. That entire assault. You know, it was funny because WWE's Twitter even tweeted out, "Man, this is hard to watch," and I was like, watching it repeatedly. Y'all hear something? Because
I saw that tweet. Yeah, I saw you there.
Your humanity, your unease, your discomfort, it doesn't matter. Johnny got fucking wrecked, and I'm here for it again and again and again. This is your life now, Jonathan. Get used to it. You can have a bunk bed with Sethington, who, as I've said and I will say again, doesn't deserve consciousness. You can be twinsies. It's perfect. Like that ass-whooping Finn delivered to you personally. God, I can't wait for him to beat your ass at fucking War Games, too.
If Johnny was a Pokemon during Finn's heel turn and then time slowed down, he would have been like Johnny Gargano.
And I mean, all due respect to Super Blue, because I am feeling myself a little bit here. He asked us to cut a promo. We don't need to. Finn already did. Finn not only beat the shit out of you,
dude.
Finn not only humiliated you physically, but then he gets on the mic and he's like, Johnny watches wrestling. He wants to be such a fan. He should be sitting out here watching the show with all of these people. Son, he called you out and he sniped your ass.
Dude, that was one of the best lines I've heard in a promo in a long time. I don't watch this business. This business watches me. I was like, yo, what? This was what we needed in NXT and from Finn, both.
Finn clapped back at your fucking ass, and if he had 1% of Scott Steiner's DNA in him, he would have gone home with Candace that night, and everybody knows it, Jonathan. Go fuck yourself.
Do some horizontal dancing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The rebel heart just stopped beating, Jonathan. Congratulations, fuckwad.
I mean, they do say, be still my beating heart, and I guess they listen, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, and I also loved the WWE backstage segment. Well, I guess the Prince is back. So good.
Yeah, just so chill, like, well, you know, I beat the shit out of him. I guess I'm me again. Feels pretty good.
Oh, man, yeah. Prince Devitt being back in the form of Finn Balor is pretty glorious, and I love too like his entrance where he does the arms out like everyone is used to him doing, but then he converts it into the double guns like the Bullet Club style. So good.
Yeah, Prince Devitt and Pirate Princess Kairi Sane are the only authorities that I recognize.
Yes, and that's the thing too, dude. Is like I love that. Like if you think about it, the Bullet Club wasn't always an NWO ripoff. When he started it as Devitt, when it was just him and Fale, and then eventually Carl Anderson and Tama Tonga joined in, they maybe occasionally did the Too Sweet, but they were more about the finger guns. Like that was their original thing that they were doing. And I feel like the Too Sweet kind of eventually prevailed over the finger guns as the primary group symbol. But Balor bringing back the finger guns as like a Bullet Club callback, like he's an OG. Like he literally started the Bullet Club, and that was the hottest thing in wrestling for like 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Finn should be very proud. And you know what? Because I really wanted Finn to have a similar career to AJ, given what he accomplished in Japan. And I think he was on track to do that, given how much he dominated NXT and they put the Universal title on him so quickly. But I feel like he's just really gotten lukewarm because of WWE's tentativeness or whatever factors you want to attribute to it. Now I feel like Finn's really getting back on track, and you love to see it. I'm so happy for the dude, and I'm happy for his fans. Shout out to Stephen Herman, who I know is a huge Finn Balor mark. And I'll tell you, my Balor Club membership got renewed hard after he beat the fuck out of Gargano. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. Should be great. Next set of questions.
All right, next set of questions. We've got 3 from Noob & Co. on Twitter. First up, name 5 former NXT stars who will return to NXT besides the Kabuki Warriors. I'm just going to start out with Cesaro because he's already made an appearance for NXT UK. I think he'll definitely be back in NXT at some point.
Yeah, they're definitely utilizing Cesaro more in a way where it's like, I mean, he just did, he's done NXT UK, like I said. He did Crown Jewel to put Mansoor over.
Yep.
So Cesaro, I could see Big E coming back at some point, like the New Day. Big E and Xavier, because they were both on NXT.
Maybe Luke Harper I could see.
Luke Harper, definitely.
They could put Luke Harper in a North American title program, no problem, and I'd be probably able to believe that.
Yeah, for sure. I could see Kevin coming back at some point. I don't know. Kevin or
for some reason, I don't think this is going to happen, but if you really want to pop that NXT rating a little bit, there's one person that really moves the needle on the ratings that was in NXT that has never held an NXT title before and is literally just the biggest deal right now, and that's Becky Lynch. She never held the NXT women's title, so you could bring her back just to give her like a one-off against whoever the women's champion is and have her put that person over big time.
Dude, imagine, because I know they exchanged beef on Twitter. Imagine if Rhea becomes NXT Women's Champion and we get a one-off Becky versus Rhea for NXT. Like how huge that would be for the women's division. That would be.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. A lot of people are kind of trying to figure out who the next champions are going to be in NXT, knowing that Survivor Series is going to involve NXT. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Honestly, yeah, like me even thinking about working Becky back in NXT because you mentioned her name, like it wouldn't even have to be Rhea. Given the whole MMA 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen of WWE, you could easily do Becky versus Shayna as kind of like a little taste of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good list of names that we gave. Next question.
How many names did we give? Cesaro, Harper, Becky.
I said Big E maybe and Xavier because they were both in NXT for a little bit.
Right.
Let me think if there's anybody else.
I'm just gonna say like Mojo Rawley for the shits and giggles.
Mojo Rawley, maybe.
I mean, who needs a repackaging more than Mojo, right?
Yeah, really. Oh my god. So yeah,
you were gonna say something though. You said maybe, and then you said a name.
Maybe Lacey Evans.
Oh,
maybe Lacey Evans, but.
I think she is reaching higher heights on WWE than she did in NXT. I think she's better off.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just saying though, if they ever wanted to do a weird interpromotional thing, maybe they'd send her over. Because you never know. NXT.
Who was the main roster woman that beat Io that I was pissed about?
main roster woman that beat Io.
At the Worlds Collide show.
Oh,
Sonya.
I know.
Sonya Deville.
Yeah, Sonya could easily come. But Mandy should definitely come back. But yeah, I mean, the only reason I even bring these names up, I think the NXT brand and what it's able to do is constantly evolving. Like it's all circulating today that NXT is going to participate in freaking Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So, like there's no limit to what the brand can do. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But any of those names I could see as entirely plausible. Even Becky.
Chiefin with a good one. EC3 could really use going back to NXT.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because we got to remember, he never won any titles there either. That's my whole thing. I really don't like the idea of somebody that's held a major title in NXT already going back, like Finn. Granted, they made up for that with the big heel turn and everything, but I still don't know what he's going to do after he's done with Gargano. But like, yeah, EC3, we wouldn't have to worry about that because he never did hold any kind of titles in NXT. So you could put him back there and then kind of restart him from the beginning and maybe see if you could get some momentum behind him. And then maybe next time he's on the main roster, he'll get fucking used.
Yeah, EC3 is a definite yes from me. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, next question.
Next question from Noob & Co. What is your least favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game?
Never played them, so I can't answer this question.
Yeah, I've never really played any other than Adventure 2 Battle, and that's my favorite, so I can't say that that's my least favorite. So, all the other ones, I guess.
there you go.
The one that the Game Grumps played and made fun of. That's the least favorite one, I guess. I've never even played it, but it just looks so garbage, and like it has such terrible gameplay, so I'll just say that one. Third and final question from Noob & Co. Will we see the return of the Mae Young Classic next year?
I believe so.
I think we're going to see it this year. Fuck next year. I think we're going to see it this year.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is still some time for this year. Granted, not much, but I think just enough to really make a go at it if you wanted to. But definitely next year, I think, if it can't get off the ground this year. So,
all right. We've got 3 questions from Brandon Best, also from Twitter. First up, besides the US and Japan, are there any wrestling scenes that you just can't get enough of? And then he added, me personally, I'm all about the UK.
Not really, Brandon. If I'm personally truthful, I'm not going to speak for Ashton. U.S. and Japan, that's enough for me right now. And to be quite honest,
and for me, I'm not even all about the U.S. wrestling scene, like in general.
Yeah, really, that's even a bit strong.
As far as the U.S. wrestling scene goes, it's mostly just NXT and PWG, and then to a lesser degree AEW for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. And then Japanese wrestling, there's obviously more than just New Japan and Stardom. There's obviously Noah and other stuff, which I have been intrigued about, don't get me wrong. But
honestly, I've been more intrigued by the women's promotions in Japan than like All Japan or Noah or Dragon Gate, like other men's promotions. I'm more interested in, like, I've been really curious about maybe checking out like Ice Ribbon or Oz Academy or TJPW. And I actually just found this other promotion last night called Actress something or other. It's let me Actress Girl Z. It's like it's an all, I think it's all women. It might have occasional men in there, but I think it's all women's promotion. It's kind of like it's like former Stardom wrestlers and idols and stuff, and it's more focused on like character stuff. So I'm really curious about that, but I obviously won't be able to get into anything like that because none of those are subtitled until I learn better Japanese. So that'll be a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Gato Move. That's another one. Thank you, Brandon. Gato Move is another interesting Joshi promotion. Yeah.
Yeah, right now for me, Brandon, again, I'm only just one man. I can only speak for myself, but I don't find the UK scene very scintillating. Progress definitely has its moments. That would probably be the only exception. But Stardom, New Japan, and NXT, they're just fucking doing it for me right now. Yeah. That's because like everything else, honestly, I'm just in a very sour place with everything else right now. But those 3 things are still consistent. And if Lucha Underground were to come back tomorrow, obviously that would be on the list. That's just fucking king. But yeah, that's it for me right now. And as Ashton said, PWG when we watch it, because PWG when we watch it, I always remember how much fun it is and just how much I enjoy it. So I'm good on that. I think you already gave your answer.
That's my whole thing too with AEW. I like, to me, the good that I see in AEW is that they're basically giving PWG a national platform, because it's really like 80% PWG performers mixed in with like 10% New Japan and 10% WWE. Like that's what it is, really. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's the core of AEW. The heart of AEW is PWG.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
National platform, and I love it. So yeah, it's really cool. I 80% is probably high. It's probably 60, but still, like, yeah, I love that AEW. Like, I haven't been a huge fan of any specific angles that AEW has done yet. But as far as them having this national platform and being able to showcase talents from PWG and from the Joshi scene and from New Japan on this national stage is really the most positive that I can get about the promotion.
Yeah, for sure, Drew. I completely agree. Yeah. All right.
Next up, second question from Brandon. Do you think there's a key for doing horror-based wrestling right? And if there is, what is it?
Horror-based wrestling. I mean, again, I think you'd have to take recourse to Lucha Underground on.
I was going to say, I don't know if we've ever seen well-done horror-based wrestling. Because, like, the only horror-based wrestling that we've ever really seen was, like, the fucking House of Horrors match, and that was trash.
Yeah, that was really bad. I don't know if you would consider Grave Consequences horror because it does deal with like caskets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think
I don't necessarily would consider. I don't think I would necessarily consider Grave Consequences horror, but maybe Brandon feels otherwise since this is his question.
Yeah, at most, it would be like soft horror. The same way, like Her, I would consider like a soft sci-fi film. Which, getting ahead of Ron Butter's question, I did see that this month. So it's not like to continue with the sci-fi parallel. It's not something like Star Trek where the sci-fi
is that the Ryan Gosling movie?
No, that's Joaquin Phoenix and
yeah, I do know what you're talking about, though. I do know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Scarlett Johansson's voice, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't fall in love with Scarlett Johansson's voice?
Very true. Very true. But yeah, I don't really know how you would even like. I would need like a parameter, like what we mean by horror wrestling. Is it like
because I'm thinking like because when I think good horror, I am more along the lines of like Hitchcock, like that. Like it's not necessarily based in gore or jump scares. It's more about the tension that's building. That's like at any moment something could happen, but it doesn't actually happen until like you least expect it. You know.
Yeah, and like, because even with The Fiend, as much as I still love the gimmick, despite WWE's best efforts to make me hate it, I really don't care for the red lighting, in the match to try and give it that quote-unquote horror feel.
Yeah, like, and I think I'm the one with the sort of minority opinion there, because I actually think the red lighting is cool as hell. I just think it's unfortunate for the live attendance, because they probably can do it very well.
Well, yeah, because even if something's cool, like, I would understand, dude, if you would want to do it, like the way Undertaker would sometimes do like the blue lighting in a segment, but he never did it for a match. You get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that a lot of people don't like it. I still just think it's cool as hell. Like,
right. But I don't
and it's because it makes his matches feel different. And for somebody that you've built up that much, they need to feel different at all times. Like, I should never be able to say, oh, well, this feels like just another whatever. And if The Fiend had a match and there wasn't that lighting, it would feel like just another wrestling match, and it shouldn't. That's why I love it.
And Brandon even said, I guess the Fiend stuff is what I mean, because I think that's horror to an extent. Well, then WWE, I guess, is doing it well enough.
Okay, so we're not really looking for stuff that's meant to scare adults. It's more stuff that's meant to scare kids.
Yeah. Which, I don't know. I'd say they're doing it fairly well enough. Could it always be better? Absolutely, because sometimes I don't even know if they know what they want with the goddamn gimmick. But, that's fine. I really haven't seen anything else, though, Brendan, so I find it to be a very constricting question, only because of my lack of experience. Although it does make me think, if there was ever a promotion dedicated to this kind of horror wrestling, where everybody was kind of like a
I was kind of almost expecting Blackcraft wrestling to be something along those lines, but I don't know if it ever really got there.
I feel like if a promotion had like the cinematography of like a Riptide wrestling, but with like horror elements, that would be really fucking cool.
And I think that's kind of what I thought Blackcraft would be, but I don't think it ever was anything like that. And I think it went under already. I don't know.
Damn, that's a shame. All right, next question.
Next question. We've got this one's just for me, actually. He wants to know, and you know what? I know this was meant for me, Brandon, but John and I watched The Boys together. So if you want him to answer as well, let us know in chat and I'll open it up to him as well. But he asked me what my favorite moment from The Boys was, and then he added, for me, it's the baby lasers. So the scene where the main guy, whose name I forget, grabbed the baby and used its laser eyes to murder 3 people. That was great. Yeah, I would honestly, as much as I do not remember from that show, because we watched it, I feel like so long ago at this point, and we watched it one time straight through without skipping and haven't touched it since. Really, the thing that I remember the most and the thing that stuck with me the most was the ending, the big reveal that the asshole fake Superman guy, I forget his name, is the real father of our main character's son. Again, I'm forgetting a lot of names here, but I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I thought that was kind of the most resonant moment. And yeah, John, you can answer too, my man.
Dude, I was just gonna co-sign, like, since you already like kind of wrote me in like that I can answer. I was gonna say the ending, so you kind of beat me to it.
Although I will say, since we were just talking about horror, I think that the most sort of like spine-tingling, hair-raising, like what the fuck moment was the airplane scene.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really good.
That was what the? That was like the most characteristic, like, this is who this motherfucker is scene in the entire show, I think. I really, really got into that. That was crazy.
But yeah, that ending was just such a twist of the knife and just a twist in general. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, good shit. Next question.
You spend this entire series with this guy assuming that his wife was raped, and then it's just like, no, she wanted some of that superhero D.
Yeah, oh my god.
And she got it, and then she gave birth to his child, and it's a fucking super. God damn it.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
All right, up next, we had 3 questions from the Chiefin. I talked to him about why he didn't do 5, because he is a patron. And he just didn't have any more. He kind of ran out of questions, so that's all good. First up, though, who would you like to see given a title push on AEW Dynamite? And he specified he would like you to list 1 man, 1 woman, and 1 team, and we'll do 1 each.
MJF, Hikaru Shida, and Private Party.
Well, damn. I mean, you made that really easy. Because the one thing that you made difficult was the woman, because I would have taken Sheeta as well. But for 1 man, Luchasaurus, that's easy. For 1 tag team, Hybrid 2, that's also very easy for me. And for 1 woman, since her contract with Impact is up, fucking get Tenille in there and push the shit out of her.
I didn't know her contract was up. Yeah, AEW should.
Well, I just, from what I understand, her contract only went through Bound for Glory, and that just happened. So I'm assuming it's up.
Oh wow, okay, that's man. Yeah, AEW should totally scoop her up and push her. She needs to have a legitimate women's championship.
And if I have to pick somebody already on the roster, Yuka Sakazaki.
Well, there you go. I like that pick. All right. Next question.
Second question from Chiefin. In a magical anime world akin to Black Clover, he specified, you can only use 1 magic element. What would it be? And then he added a bunch of possible examples. And he listed specifically fire, water, plant, light, dark, spatial, etc. So what would you pick for your element, John?
Not to be difficult, is wind and or air an element?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Sure.
Okay, that one. Totally that one.
Okay, cool. I would go... I mean, if spatial is an element, that seems OP as fuck. I would probably want that. But if that's a little too OP, or if it's not exactly what I'm thinking, I would probably just go with water. Because even talking about, Avatar: The Last Airbender, I always said that I would have rather been a waterbender than anything else. Because waterbending, you have such massive variety to what you can do. Like you can get your mobilize with the ice sheets and just sliding down ice sheets and stuff. You can you can literally pull yourself drinks of water out of the air. You never have to pour yourself a cup or buy a bottle again. You can heal people with the water stuff. You can also manipulate people with the blood bending, because there is water in just about everything, including people. People are mostly made up of water. You know, there's like a lot of perks to waterbending, so I would say water manipulation would definitely be my choice, my element.
Water Tribe.
Third and final question from the Chieftain: who is your favorite DCEU character that they've done so far, and are you excited for the new Birds of Prey movie?
Yes, I'm excited for Birds of Prey, and I have to be honest, I think my favorite DCEU character. Oh man, I'm torn between two.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman though. She is pretty badass.
Yeah, I would have probably said Wonder Woman as well. But since you took Wonder Woman, I'll go with my second choice, and that's actually Ezra Miller's Flash.
Nice.
He was hilarious in Justice League to me. I laughed at him more than anything else.
For anybody that was curious about who the other person was, I would have said Shazam. I really like that.
Oh movie. Yeah, I actually always forget that Shazam is even part of the DCEU. It feels so separated.
Yeah.
Because everything else was built up to the Justice League, and then Shazam and Shazam happened, and that was post Justice League. But we don't really know if it's building up to anything yet. Like, he hasn't interacted with any other superheroes yet, other than the post-credit scene where Superman shows up at his fucking lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy Batson. Yeah, that was a great... I think that's probably my favorite DCEU movie, but I think that my favorite individual is probably Wonder Woman or Ezra Miller's Flash. Yeah.
Nice. All right, next question.
Next question. From Gordon, actually. Gordon Maston sent this one in a few weeks ago. He literally asked, is the NXT system broken? And he kind of left it open-ended. I asked like if he wanted to go in further, and he said, I only asked because the initial goal of this entire thing has been to show the main roster world the next generation of talent, and now we're bringing people back and pushing guys down, and no one is really succeeding on the main roster, so I feel as if no one cares and the system is broken. So I thought this was a really, really interesting question, and I just want to hear your thoughts first.
Fuck. I mean, because, like, on one hand, they're producing great content, but I have said before on the podcast that, like, when you look at retro NXT, and I'm not talking about when it was a fucking, like, reality show, competition, whatever kind of thing, but, like, when it really was a developmental territory, there was a charm to it that you wouldn't see on Raw or SmackDown. Now the charm is that it's just genuinely fucking good, you know, and, like, has great matches and stuff like that. But, like, to see the rise of Neville or Bo Dallas, who honestly, all due respect to Ciampa Daddy and everything else, I still think Bo, just for his time in NXT, will probably go down as one of the most underrated people that WWE has ever had. He was an amazing heel. I think so much time has elapsed now, there are probably some people that have forgotten how great of a heel Bo was. You know, we were so privileged to live through that. You know, Big E with the 5 gimmick, which, you know, I mean, obviously he landed on his feet pretty well with the New Day. I'm not going to be like, oh, he's you know, struggling with whatever. But it was a great gimmick. And, you know, it was one, since we're talking about representation and stuff a lot more now in the wrestling business, that a black superstar, like, it wasn't a stereotyped gimmick. Yeah. And I love that. And it got insanely over. Hell, even Jinder looked good. I mean, just as a heel functioning in that role from NXT back then. So in that way, because I think it's like 90% a third brand, 10% developmental. Whereas before, I feel like it was the other way around, like 90% developmental, but 10%, you know, like if you like it, yeah, it's a third brand. And I think in that way, I kind of miss it. So in that way, I'd almost be selfish and be like, yeah, it's broken, but maybe this just shows that broken isn't always a bad thing. I don't know. It's definitely a conflicting question, you know, because I miss old NXT in that way. Like, how often, you figure Adam Cole's the NXT champion right now, right? Like, what's the likelihood the next NXT champion is going to be somebody with insane star power, whether it's, you know, Ciampa Daddy or Keith Lee or Dijakovic, rather than some guy coming through the system? Like, who's a talent that we really would consider, like, developmental in NXT? I guess maybe Kona Reeves. I mean, God, that's a bad example. Is there any, like, babyface so that we can at least have proper alignments? Bate, maybe? But, I mean,
no,
Bate, I guess,
he's too fucking good. Give me just a second. Uh, shit. And that's the problem right there, is that it doesn't feel like there are a lot. Boa.
Boa, yeah, yeah. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I feel like NXT, it depends. Like, I don't know if you could say that it's broken. It's just transformed to be
Rick
something
Boogs!
unrecognizable. Rick Boogs. There you go. What's the likelihood that Rick Boogs would beat Adam Cole for the NXT Championship? As
0.
fucking badass as that would be in my mind, because I can tell you they would tell a great story.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So rather that I will say this, though, to Gordon, and I love the question, Gordon. This is not me, whatever. I love you and I love the question. I think broken may be the wrong kind of language to invoke. I just think this is a distinct NXT from what we started with. Like, I think there is a conceptual difference between the NXT of 2019 and the NXT from when this all started. As a developmental brand, I mean. And because it's completely distinct, that means it's operating under distinct purposes, And I think it's become now, okay, we're just a third brand. Forget developing anybody, even though they could still go to Raw or SmackDown. Let's just be a great third brand. In that way, I'd say that it's working. But if they do still, the people in the upper offices are like, oh no, we're still like developing talent, this and that.
Yeah.
Because you know what, though, the way they take the way out, and I'm sorry I'm talking so long on this question. I'll hand it over to Ashton in a second. But I think the way they take the way out on this question is, even the guys like Adam Cole and Keith Lee, they need to be developed too, because they've got the in-ring, but they need to know how to work the camera and entrances and stuff like that. And it's like, that may be true. And I feel like that's really being charitable.
But that's also some shit that they could pick up on the fly, which we've seen already.
Exactly. Like, I think to even give them that would be way too charitable, as I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, Foster, you know me too well. I do think in that regard it is broken, but I always defer to Ashton because I always think he thinks about things that I don't really look at, and he definitely substantiates his arguments well. So what do you think about the question, man? Where does your mind go?
You know what? It's interesting. I actually have quite a few thoughts right now. So one thought is, I think that we've officially graduated from NXT being able to be called a developmental system. It really
Yes.
it's a full-blown third brand. Like, stop pretending that it's not. Because right now, the Performance Center is definitely still like a developmental thing. I don't know what I would call it. It's not a territory. It's not a system. It's just a developmental. Maybe it is a system. I don't know. But I think that the real development with the younger folks and with the inexperienced folks happens on house shows now. It doesn't happen on NXT TV. It happens on the touring live events that NXT does now. And I was even thinking, like, I wonder how much it would cost to just pay a cameraman to come to the show and shoot it and then upload it to the network. Like, you could literally just throw $100, some, professional, film, whatever, throw $100 their way, have them come in and film the 2 or 3 hour show, have them send you the video, put it up on the network, no commentary, no nothing, just put it in its own little section. And if you bring in 10 or more new subscribers from that, it's a net positive,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think that would be really interesting and a really kind of another layer of the quote unquote developmental part of WWE, because right now NXT TV is independent wrestling through the lens of WWE. Like, I think
that's a great way to say it.
It's Ring of Honor, it's PWG, it's that indie sort of spot fest, character driven type of wrestling through the lens of the WWE. And I think it works a lot of the time. Most of the time, even. I won't say a lot. It works almost all the time. It works most of the time because the people that are on top at NXT weren't trained by WWE. Like, to me, that is where the system is broken. The quote-unquote system. The WWE developmental system, not NXT, but the WWE developmental system as a whole, the greater developmental system, is broken. I don't think NXT is broken because I think NXT is a great product. But I think that the greater developmental system is absolutely broken because we see women, and this is just a female example, we see women train in Stardom for a year. Not even train. We see, and the thing is, training usually doesn't take more than 6 months in Stardom. We see women on the Stardom show for a year, maybe 2 years tops. And they eclipse in the ring, they eclipse a lot of WWE trained women who have been around 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Like, you could literally show me just about any Jungle Kiona match this year, and I would take that over any Alexa Bliss match, over any Carmella match, over anybody that was trained by WWE in the last decade, over any Natalya match, over any Tamina match, over any Bella Twin match, over anyone that has been trained exclusively by the WWE system any day of the week. And Kiona's been wrestling for like 3 or 4 years now. So, like Io Shirai has only been wrestling. She's been wrestling for less than a decade. I think she's been wrestling for like 8 years. No joking. Like, she has not been wrestling for that long. And I think most people would agree that she is the best overall female wrestler in the world. She's 29 years old. And actually, I was wrong. She's been wrestling since 2007. So Kairi is a better example. Kairi is an amazing example because she's only been wrestling, I want to say, since 2012. Let me look it up just to make sure that I'm not losing my mind here. Kairi Hojo is what I'm going to look up because that's her real name. And that's not even actually her real name. That's just what her name was in Stardom. Yeah, Kairi's been wrestling since 2012. Then you can list every single woman in WWE that was trained in the WWE, and I would rather watch any Kairi match than any of their matches. To me, that is the core of the problem, is that when WWE trains someone, and then here's a great example, John, you're going to love this one, Jay White. How old is Jay White?
26 years old.
Well, 3 weeks ago he turned 27, but close enough.
Wow. I'm going in the corner. Fuck all of you.
But my point is, Jay White debuted. He debuted in 2013, 6.5 years ago, because it was in February, so 6.5 years ago. Jay White's only been wrestling for 6.5 years, and this dude is already a better performer overall than I would say 90% of WWE's roster. And even if you would cut out everyone that has debuted since Jay White's debut, everyone that's been wrestling for less than 7 years, let's say, in WWE, everyone basically that's got more experience than Jay White, I would still say like 70 to 80%, I would rather take Jay White over them on the roster. Like, it blows my mind how incompetent the WWE's training and developmental actually is. Because when you look at their products, they are failures. Not the products themselves, because the WWE forces them into success. Like The Miz. The Miz is such a good example. John, when did The Miz start to get really good? 2016, you would say, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The Miz started wrestling and was starting to be trained by the WWE in 2003.
Jesus Christ.
Took him 13 years to get good. And in New Japan, it takes half that time.
Damn.
And not even, because Jay White's been good for more than just an instant. Like, Jay White has been good for probably like a year or two at this point, I would say.
Yeah.
And the bigger deal to me is, who are the biggest stars in the WWE right now? John Cena, kind of. Brock Lesnar, kind of. And the only reason I'm saying kind of about them is because they're part-timers. Who's the biggest full-time big deal in the WWE right now? Who would you say?
Becky Lynch, maybe?
Okay, well, Becky wrestled for a solid like 7 years before coming to WWE, so that's a failure on WWE's part. Who else?
I wish I could say Seth Rollins, but not
well,
these
we know
days.
Seth Rollins had a hell of a career as Tyler Black in Ring of Honor, so that's another failure on WWE's.
I feel like Bryan's still ridiculously over.
Bryan was another guy that was an indie guy before coming to this. You're just really helping me make my point. The only real exception that you've managed to not mention is Roman. Roman was trained exclusively by WWE, and he's being rejected, or at least he was for the longest time rejected by fans for years because they didn't connect with him. Because WWE goes out of their way to try and teach these people how to connect with crowds at the expense of teaching them how to be great wrestlers, and they still never really figure out how to connect with crowds. Like, that's, to me, that's the failure, is that WWE neglects training these people to be fundamentally sound wrestlers in favor of teaching them how to work cameras and how to work a crowd and how to connect with people and how to be charismatic and how to cut a promo, and they end up not being good at that shit anyway.
Yeah, and dude, like, I not to cut off your train of thought, but I just don't even understand, like, how you can train a wrestler to connect with the crowd when I feel like they've got to find their own voice. Like, I feel like that's how it always usually.
Well, but that right there, though, John,
best.
Your point there, I completely agree with you, but your point is also a fundamental reason why the WWE's developmental system is broken and why it fails most of the time. It's because they are training you to do things one way. And if that one way doesn't work for you, they say it's your fault and they kick you to the curb or they just don't use you, right? Juice Robinson, perfect example.
Yeah.
Charismatic as fuck. Awesome promo. In NXT, you never would have known that because they wanted him to do one thing. They had one style. They wanted him to do things their way. And if he couldn't, then it was his fault, according to them. But you send him to New Japan and you take scripts away and you allow him to speak from the heart, and suddenly we've got arguably the best babyface promo in the wrestling business right now on our hands. Now, that didn't come from nowhere. He's always had that. That didn't just develop. It's not like he went through like some kind of promo training in New Japan. They're fucking Japanese. They don't even speak the same language as him. They don't give a fuck about what he says in English for his promos. They never trained him to cut a promo. They just trained him to be really good at fundamental wrestling stuff when he was in the Young Lion phase in New Japan. So, like, Moxley is another great example. Moxley, in WWE, he even has come out and said in interviews while he was still working with WWE, he never cut a promo for WWE that he thought was a good promo. And
yeah,
just since coming out of WWE, just since the internet stuff and AEW, literally just going backstage and live telling somebody to get a camera and put it on me for the next 10 minutes. Cutting promos that style. And all of his promos throughout the G1 Climax. He's cut about a dozen promos better than any promo that he cut on the main roster in WWE over that like 5 or 6 year period. So like, that isn't because it's not exclusively because they overscript you. Like, that's absolutely a big part of it. But it's not only because of that, it's because they don't train people for the right things. They don't train you, okay, well, you know, like in Stardom, and I actually listened to a Zoe Lucas interview the other day, and she said, like, in Stardom, they don't teach you to do these elaborate things. They teach you to do the fundamentals without needing to think about it. Like, they will drill you on doing drop kicks until you master a drop kick. And then they will drill you on arm drags until you master an arm drag. That is the Japanese style of training, and that is the shit that has been working. Because, dude, here's another big point that I was trying to get around to. We mentioned like Seth and Bryan and Becky and all these big time stars for WWE being trained by not WWE before coming to WWE, and Roman being the only really big exception. Well, here's another big thing with that I wanted to get around to, is that when excuse me, when you look back at the historical stars that have been created for WWE, so The Rock, obviously another Roman-esque exception where he was trained by WWE, no questions asked, and he became a huge star through his natural charisma and personality. Austin, though, world traveler. Jericho, world traveler. Brock was a fucking athletic freak that really didn't need to be trained. He was already an amateur wrestling god. Kurt Angle had a stint in ECW, I believe, before coming to WWE. And again, Olympic level wrestling. Like, if they aren't bringing in guys that already have an elite martial arts background, they're failing. Unless it's a once in a lifetime Samoan talent, you know, like The Rock. So
exactly, yeah.
But then you look at New Japan. Tanahashi went through the Young Lion system. Naito went through the Young Lion system. Okada went through the Young Lion system. Every major star in the last, really probably ever, in New Japan Pro Wrestling has been trained by New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's the difference right there. So that's why I think that when Gordon asks, is NXT broken? I say the NXT brand isn't broken, but the WWE's developmental system as a whole is 100% broken, yes.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it any better. I think we both gave nice, thorough answers. Next question.
We have 3 questions from Racist Fan Rocks. First up, drop any fail/fuck WWE creative you want.
Wait, say that again? I didn't quite understand.
I think it's like drop any fail bomb/fuck WWE promo creative that you want.
Jeez. I guess
I think for me, it's just like, wow, y'all finally got to do a women's match in Saudi Arabia and you chose Natalya and Lacey Evans to do it. What the fuck are you thinking?
And I'll just say, just to kind of carry over from our catch-up commentary, fuck you for burning down the funhouse to only retcon it on Friday. Again, going back to my problem, not accepting your goddamn consequences of your writing while you tell me to just sit down, shut up, and enjoy it. Go fuck yourself.
There you go. Second question from Racist Fan. What is WWE afraid of? Creating a star that will leave them.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, no point in even mentioning any other fear. Like, that's it. That's it. Because they don't fear anything else. They don't fear AEW. They're just going to keep doing their own thing. They don't fear crowds booing because Vince apparently laughed at the audience being angry at the end of Hell in a Cell. And I would 100% believe that given the things I've heard about Vince McMahon. That is like the number one fear. So I'm just going to co-sign.
All right. Question from Racist Fan. Talk about whatever you want.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I've been...
I mean, because if we're talking about whatever we want, I just have to take this moment, since it's probably the most appropriate moment we're ever going to get in the history of this podcast. Your face is fucking amazing.
Wow.
Like, God damn.
It's crazy that you say that, dude, because it's... I was about to say the same thing to you.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know. It's crazy.
Dude, holy shit. And this weather today, am I right?
Cakes.
Holy fuck. But yeah, no, I just want to take that up.
You know what though? We have about double the audience right now that we usually get during Stardom. So watch Stardom, people.
Yeah, watch Stardom. It's a great freaking product that makes me actually still love wrestling for what it is. And yeah, and then hey, Gordon's here, dude. We answered your question, but it was fucking great. Thank you so much for submitting it. And yeah, I think I'm good to move on to the next question. I just want to take this moment to say your face is doing a fantastic job right now. So like, yeah.
All right. So first up, out of 5 questions from Iconic, yay or nay to AEW buying the rights to Halloween Havoc and making it an annual pay-per-view?
You know what?
Yay, I say. Fucking do it. But they won't be able to because Vince will keep it from them because he's petty as fuck.
Yeah, probably. But you know what? Anything AEW wants to do, because we even heard, what was it, Ashton, from, was it Solo Monster or Fight? Which podcast was it that talked about, I think it was Fightful that talked about, like, the whole limousine scene with Tony Schiavone and Cody. Like, that was a throwback to WCW and something they did on Nitro. Like,
I think that was Solo Monster, actually.
It was, okay. You know, if they're going to do that stuff, is it at my speed? Honestly, no. Right now, I feel like, wait, hold on, kids. I just want to Google a term before I use it. I've gotten into that habit because I don't just want to be that person to use words to think that he sounds smarter. I want to know that I'm using them correctly. Hold on.
It's an admirable character decision.
Yeah, okay. I think I can use this properly. I'm feeling ambivalent about AEW at the moment because, like, I like a lot of the talent and I do like some of the stuff they're doing. But Ashton, you actually had a great line. And this wasn't like on a podcast. I think this was just you and I together. But like, I completely agree. When it came to that limo segment, like if that's how AEW like wants to do certain stuff, fine. But because it was Cody, like it just felt, to use your words, so self-indulgent. Yeah. And like, I still worry about that with this goddamn company. Brandy got a vignette that I had no idea what the fuck she was trying to convey because I saw Awesome Kong in there. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. And I still worry. Like, no, the Young Bucks aren't the tag champions. Cody isn't the world champion yet or anything like that. But I think there are more ways to make yourself the show besides just carrying the hardware. That's just one way you can do it, you know? And I still, maybe unjustly, maybe it's more of a John problem than an AEW problem, but I still worry about this promotion making it all about them. And I guess my only worry is, like, okay, if you want to be kind of like take certain things from certain promotions, like piecemeal, like I'll take a little bit from WCW, I'll take a little bit here. But you said you were going to change the world. I don't know how you change the world by returning to the past.
Yep.
Like, and
I think it's
that's
a matter of Kenny and Cody having very conflicting ideas of what they want to do with the company. Cody wants to recreate 80s NWA, and Kenny is more interested in the whole changing the world thing with the Joshis and the character stuff and the video game vignettes and all that stuff.
I would go more with Kenny's vision, honestly. Because even Kenny's vision, like, and again, this is not me trying to be an asshole, but I'm going to sound like what I sound like. I can't help it. Even Kenny's vision, I don't think breaks the boundaries necessarily. Like, again, I have to go to a place like Lucha Underground that I feel like genuinely did that. I'm sorry. Like, the world, the mythology, everything. I had never in my life seen anything like what Lucha Underground was doing. Kenny is a bit closer. If we're talking about doing something novel and sleek looking that's also still good when you peel back the layers and it has substance to it. But Cody's just like, no, okay, hear me out. Let's do NWA, but in 2019. When NWA Power apparently is doing really well, so they're probably doing NWA better than you would want to do NWA anyway. So, like...
And they have the name to back it up.
Exactly. So, like... I
frankly, like, my biggest problem with Cody's whole thing, with him like, oh, let's do 80s wrestling with 2019 stars, that's literally what Ring of Honor's fucking tagline was early on, like in the early 2000s, into even maybe like the late 2000s, early 2010s. Like, when I was watching Ring of Honor in like 2010, when it was like, you know, Davey Richards and Tyler Black and the Kings of Wrestling and stuff, their whole moniker was 80s style wrestling with the stars of today. That's what the whole thing was.
And brother, I got to agree with... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What did you say at the tail end there?
I just said, and that's what Cody wants to do.
Yeah, and that's what Cody wants to do. And I got to tell you, man, I agree with Mark Schoeneman wholeheartedly here in the chat, where he says, like, AEW is having several matches I enjoy each week, but they're not succeeding in having stories I care about, sans a few. But, like, I immediately co-sign onto that. And he also said, like, not enough women's matches, but I wanted to emphasize the stories. Because, like...
Well, I don't even know if I agree with the not enough women's matches, because they just don't have enough women on the roster, period. Like, they, you know, they have the very few Joshi women. Like, they have Riho once a month. They have Riho sometimes, not all the time. And they have Shida now, which is a huge improvement. And we're hopefully going to start seeing Yuka Sakazaki later on, like in a month or two, because she's going to be coming back at the end of the year, from what I understand. And they use Emi Sakura sometimes, but like it's very kind of sparse with the Joshi women. And then like the non-Joshi women, like B is great when you compare her to Britt Baker, or when you compare her to Nyla Rose or Allie or whatever. But she's nothing special as far as I'm concerned. I am not a fan of Britt Baker. I think she's sloppy. I don't think she's interesting. I think she's kind of bland. And then, like, who else is there? Like, I'm not interested in Brandy Rhodes. Awesome Kong is amazing, but is also way past her prime and can't necessarily work a full match right now. Aja Kong is also amazing, but she's also not going to be around, and she's on the older side too. Like, you're just really limited in who you can use, which is why I think they should be going out and signing more women. Go get Priscilla Kelly. Go get Tenille if she's available. Like, find other women to use. Like, hell, they just signed that Shauna woman from last night, from last night. They signed her, and that's a great signing for them. Like, I don't think she's anything special as an individual talent, but people were buzzing about that match. People really liked her. So yeah, makes sense. Pick her up, see what you can do with her. Fuck, speaking of Shauna, go get Shaza. Go get Shaza McKenzie, for Christ's sakes. Go get fucking Laura Di Matteo. Go find other women there are so many talented women out there. Sign some kind of agreement with Stardom, or with TJPW, or with Oz Academy, or with Ice Ribbon, or with any of these amazing Joshi promotions to have a talent exchange. You know, send fucking Britt Baker and Nyla Rose over there, and let them send a couple people over to you. Like, they're not putting effort into making their women's division matter, and that is the problem, more than just not enough women's matches.
Which because I want to touch on that. But
yeah, Mercedes, thank you, Chief. And Mercedes motherfucking Tinez, how is she not signed?
But yeah, like I want to circle back to that because you said something immensely important, but I do want to touch on to a point that I wanted to make earlier about the stories thing, because I know the retort would be, oh, we do stories on being the elite,
which fuck everything about that.
I mean, and I was going to say that in one way I could understand like the novelty of that, but like we're not, how can I put this? We're not at a
get people invested enough to watch your YouTube videos by putting out YouTube videos.
Well, that's the thing. Like, to me, we're not at a stage yet, even though WWE's trying in one way, and AEW, I think, is heavily relying on it to an unsettling degree.
Yeah.
We're not at a place yet where people make the association between, if I want storyline development, I got to go to social media, because so much of the wrestling fan base is going to be used to seeing their storylines develop on TV. Like,
well,
you and
that's
I
kind of the
talked
point
about,
that
like,
I was making, dude, is that, like, in order for somebody to seek out content from a wrestling promotion, they have to be very invested in it. Like, if I'm going to seek out any wrestling content online, it's because I am already into it and I want to see more and I can't get enough. You're not going to get people invested enough in your product to seek it out online if you're only using ways to get people invested online. Like, you need to get people invested on the show, and once you get them invested enough in the show, then they'll start seeking your shit out online. And then, sure, maybe, like, you need to treat your online shit like Marvel's one-shots and have your actual TV shows be the movie.
I mean, I completely agree with you there. And another thing is, because I want to say two things here, and then I want to circle back to the women thing, because we're kind of going hard on AEW here. But with the online stuff, like, most wrestling fans that don't make that connection, because I know even you and I have been watching wrestling collectively for, like, you put our years together, it's got to be like over 30 years, maybe even a bit more than that. But like, even you and I, when I tell you, oh, you would have had to go on Twitter for that, you're like, well, I didn't know. Because nobody thinks, right, to go on Twitter or do any of this stuff. Like, your first impressions, your judgments about a product are gonna come from television first.
Exactly.
Like, immediately. And then secondly, if you want to build a new model, which again I'm very wary about and I don't even know if I fully agree with, but if you want to build a new model where it's like, oh no, all of our story-driven stuff, this way we have more like elasticity with it, because YouTube's kind of an independent thing, we're gonna do it on YouTube, then you need to heavily promote the Being the Elite channel, like, on Dynamite. Yeah. On TV. Like, after a segment ends, you'd be like, you're going to want to tune in. It almost sounds like kind of 90s in that way, when Nitro would promote like certain stuff, like either a phone number or a website or whatever. But you would be like, you want to go on to AEW Dynamite or Being the Elite, and they should really get their own company channel for storyline development. I don't even.
They do. I think there is an All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel, but I don't know if they use it for anything.
Well, I mean, if they are, they really should reorient it so that the storyline development goes there. Yeah. And they should say, go on the AEW YouTube channel to see how this develops.
Yep.
Like, if you really want to build this model, you've got to commit, which that's the word, to circle back to the women, because I didn't forget. It is inexcusable to me. It is inexcusable to me that you have the financial resources that Tony Khan has, and like everybody that's a part of this project has, combined with the fact that women's wrestling, especially in America, like in major companies, is in hot demand, because WWE's women do great numbers on YouTube. They do great numbers on TV for the ratings. And like, people have been talking about better representation, more women's wrestling, give them time, do that. And there's a movement going on, like online and elsewhere, of people wanting this shit and demanding this shit. And AEW is just like, we hear you, but nah. Like, it makes no sense to me. And honestly, it really tells me, and this is probably going to be the cruelest thing that I say, and I don't even really mean it to be that cruel, but when you get a group of people together that are like, oh, you want to change the world, and you think you can simply because you have money, like, how much thought even went into this fucking company? Like, I have to ask, because how you can really neglect your women's division when, honestly, that should have been something taken care of on day one, given what NXT, Stardom, given what women's wrestling right now in general in the culture is. Are you even serious about this? It makes no sense to me, and there's no like with Lucha Underground. With Lucha Underground, we got annoyed because they really wanted to push the intergender, and you and I have had big conversations like since then about it, and like in hindsight, what could have been done and what should have been done. But at least we can say to them truthfully, they didn't have a lot of resources. Hell, they were even on a network that we weren't fond of, and they just couldn't do anything about it. Yep. There is no excuse with AEW, none. They've got the pockets to do it. You should have cared more. And the idea that you didn't says a lot more about you than it does about the people complaining about it. Yeah. I don't think they're serious about it. How can I take you seriously when the one thing that really seems to be in demand in wrestling right now is the one thing you really haven't put your back into? So,
but John, the tag teams though.
And honest, no. That would stray even further from the initial question. I don't even remember what the initial question was. What was
Halloween
the initial
Havoc?
question?
Should they buy the rights to Halloween Havoc?
Oh, go ahead, do it, because it's clear that like changing the world was like a tagline and not an ideological mindset of like changing the culture. So enjoy your tagline, enjoy your Halloween Havoc. Just enjoy also kissing my ass. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Next question.
All right. Second question from Iconic. What are your favorite Halloween moments?
Wait, is he just talking personally, like our Halloweens, like as kids, like growing up?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, I actually have a story for this. I wouldn't have called it a favorite at the time, but but looking back on it now, like it's just a formative moment. So I'm going trick-or-treating with my sister, and when I was young, we used to have to like get me in the wheelchair and like wheel me along. But it was cool because I think it was one of the first Halloweens where it was just her and I together. Like my grandmother wasn't there, none of our friends were there, which made it like less awkward because my sister's always treated me, very well, in spite of my disability and everything. And we're going, and we're at this one house, and we knock, whatever. And at one point, I see a person in a Michael Myers costume. Now, me being a young child, having seen the John Carpenter film, which is just genius, and was so terrified of Michael Myers that I slept with my door open for a whole year because I couldn't stand like being just enveloped in complete darkness without anybody hearing me scream. I let out a scream because I was petrified being like that close to what I thought was, oh God, it's Michael. The guy turns around and actually begins chasing us with his knife in the air, like in his hand. And it was insane because we're like running for our lives. Now, especially in this world today, like it probably scared me twice as much today because you don't know if anybody's like in on the act and having fun or if they're like really going to fuck with you like in a bad way because they know how scared you are. So we're running. My poor sister is in like heels, I guess, as part of her costume. So I can only imagine how uncomfortable that was, but she's always cared like about protecting me and loving me first and foremost, which is why I stand forever. And we're running as fast as we can from this Michael Myers. We get to this house with this guy, and we're knocking, and we're like, oh God, this person's chasing us. The guy wouldn't let us in. So fucking dickweed. Just being like, nah, you're on your own. I'm living today. I thought he must have watched a lot of horror films because he just left us to die. But then there's actually a really creepy ending to this because we realize at one point we're safe. We start going back, and there's a car that like pulls up to us. The guy in the Michael Myers costume, and he does this creepy wave. You know, like you can wave all slow where your fingers just all kind of go into each other like a little bit. That's like the kind of wave that he did, all slow out the car window. And we went home, and I apologized. I feel like I apologized a million times. Maybe it was only a few times, but I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My nerves got the better of me. And I don't even know what prompted me to scream because like I never usually, like, I've always been so used, like, as a kid to, like, being more quiet and reserved, but the fear must have just strangled me, and I think my sister even told me, like, don't do it, but it was too late, and she had to be, like, how she did not, because I'm telling you, man, her loyalty to me, because I even think, like, several years later, that I took that 16-mile hike, when I took another big one with Christy, I pulled my groin. She actually carried me at some points because she knew I just couldn't move. How that woman, not once but twice, didn't leave me to die when she had every right to, I will never understand, but I am not complaining. So that's my Halloween story for you guys, and I'm actually glad that I had a Halloween story to share. Ashton, what about you? I was
going to say, that makes one of us. I really don't. I guess my most interesting Halloween story is that when I was like 9 years old, so it would have been in '99, I dressed up as Kane for Halloween, and my mom painted my face.
That's amazing. I guess another story that really hasn't aged
I don't
well.
really have fun Halloween stories because we didn't go door to door. We literally just had like a list of family members and people that my grandma knew that we went to their houses for trick or treat. That's it.
Yeah, I guess another story that I could share, even though I really want to make absolutely clear, like, I'm not proud of it. It hasn't aged well at all, and especially given my changing social and political views, like, I'm disgusted by it. But I still think, just for my sister's like artwork, it was that's the only reason I kind of hang on to it. But there was one Halloween where I went to my friend's Halloween party as a homeless person, and she did the makeup really well. But I just think with like the classist undertones and everything, it's gross. So yeah, but that's the only like two craziest Halloweens. I remember one Halloween I went as Spider-Man. I remember breathing wasn't fun in the mask.
I think I went as Sting one year too. So I think I went as Sting in '98 and Kane in '99.
That's cool, man. Your fandom, man. Forces with you.
It goes back, man. It goes back.
Absolutely.
Well, you got to remember too. My first ever pay-per-view was Halloween Havoc '98.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it all comes full circle, baby.
Hell yeah. Next question, bud.
Werewolf versus vampire. Which reigns supreme?
Wasn't this the plot of like Underworld Rise of the Lycans?
I think it was the plot of every Underworld movie, honestly.
I'm going to go with the vampires. Fuck it.
It's kind of funny because I was going to go with the werewolves because in the Underworld movies, I always liked the werewolves more. They were always the good guys.
All right, well...
And they weren't werewolves either. They were lycans.
Yeah, learn the proper nomenclature, people.
Well, no, there's a difference. There's a difference between a werewolf and a lycan. A lycan controls when it changes. A werewolf only changes when the moon is full.
Ah, well, look at the big brain on you. All right, next question.
Our fourth question from Iconic. Top 5 favorite horror movie series.
Oh, God. Number 1. You want to just go back and forth on this? Because I don't even know if I could genuinely name 5.
I'll try my best.
I guess I'll go first, even though this is just immediately my favorite, the Halloween series.
Of course, yeah, of course. You love you some Michael Myers. God. I mean, you know what? They said series? Oh, but they said movie series. I was going to say Stranger Things would be perfect, but that's not a movie series. It's just a series. Movie series, though, I'm not as good at this. I feel like my mom is, like, mumbling suggestions under her breath, but I can't hear what she's saying. Oh, she said The Ring, but I'm not gonna... That's not my answer. I don't like The Ring. God, I don't watch horror movies, really.
I guess while you're thinking, just to kind of give another one.
Yeah, please, yes.
Child's Play. I wish I could say Hellraiser.
Never liked Child's Play.
I don't know if it counts to say Hellraiser when I've only liked the first 2 films, because everything after that was like straight to DVD and like all that shit.
What about the Alien franchise? Does that count?
That should count. That shit is horrifying.
Yeah, I love that stuff. That's my kind of horror right there, where it's like, you know, like that there's something that might kill you and you just can't see it and you never know when it's gonna hit. Like that's my shit right there.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of the Saw movies, and you know what? It's good turn your brain off fun. Although I will say the very first one is still one of my favorite horror movies ever, just because I didn't expect the twist at the time. First one was genuinely good.
I'll agree with Saw. I like Saw. Well, I shouldn't say I like Saw, but I
know what you. Yeah.
I appreciate Saw for what it is, and I actually. It's one of those weird things with Saw where, like, I thought for the longest time that I only watched 2 of those movies. And then, like, when I listen to synopsises for this 3rd and 4th and maybe even 5th, I feel like I recognize them. So maybe I've, at one point in my life, just gone on, like, a Saw movie binge and watched all of them at one point up to, like, the 5th one. And I just forgot about that time that I did that or something. Because I feel like I know the plot to all of the first 5 Saw movies. And, like, to this day, I think that the worst, like, the death that made me whinge the most or like cringe the most is the fucking syringe, like the woman that got thrown into the box.
Oh yeah, Amanda getting thrown in the syringe pit.
It was either
Yeah.
that or the fucking glass like wrist cutting thing that you had to reach up to get the antidote, and it was like cutting. It was like a woman that reached up into this box, and as she was trying to pull her hand out, it was fucking up her.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that one. Man, Saw 2 fucked you up, huh? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that they both come from the same movie.
Yeah,
that's-
yeah. Because that was the
yeah.
one where it was like there was like some kind of a toxic element in the air in the house that they were in, and they had to find the cure in the syringes. And that was also the one too where one person got locked in the fucking furnace and it got turned on and they got burned alive too.
Oh
So,
God, and that's why too. I think in one of the, I know this is off topic, but in one of them, just you recounting it, one of the movies, Jigsaw's like, "I've never murdered anyone." Bullshit! Like holy fucking shit! Oh my
yeah, and then like
God.
I know the third movie's like big main event finale was the guy getting all of his limbs twisted.
Oh God, yeah. Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Oh, and that was the movie that had the woman that was frozen in ice too. I remember that too.
Yeah. Oh God, and then I'm remembering the one where he got the main guy was the health insurance guy because they were going after I guess the pharmaceutical like the healthcare industry,
Yeah.
and there was like the carousel with like shotguns and wherever it would stop, bam.
Oh my God.
Oh God, there's some sick fucking people. I don't know if it was therapy
Yeah.
for them.
Okay,
but-
so we're up to four. We're up to four. So we've gotten between the two of us. We've gotten Halloween, Child's Play, Saw, and Alien franchise. We got to name one more. Let's just get one more.
Children of the Corn. God, we only watched the one Jeepers Creepers movie.
Scary movie. Scary movie. Does that count, or is that more comedy?
That seems to be more comedy.
Okay, then I'm not a big fan of it anymore. But I used to love the Final Destination movies. How about those?
Yeah, I think those count. That should definitely count. In fact, let's even go to Wikipedia and let's see how they classify it. Let's see, final.
Oh shit! Does The Purge count? Because we've been watching The Purge. That's got to count, right?
Yeah, but we've been watching more of the TV series, haven't we?
Well,
And
I
you only
know, but
watched
there's
the
still
one-
a movie series that takes place in the same universe. That counts.
Yeah, Wikipedia counts Final Destination as an American horror franchise. If you just want to go with that.
Well, we gave you 6 then. We gave you 6. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, fifth and final question from Iconic. Choose a scary location for the Scum Squad to visit and one horror gimmick wrestler to hunt them down. Who survives?
I want to say me because I'm devastatingly handsome.
Okay, well, let's pick the location first.
Okay. I know I've been watching some old Undertaker vignettes. It seems like he just has this graveyard that he occasionally visits. So I don't know if we could call it like Taker's graveyard.
Okay, let's do 2 separate answers then, because I want to say like an abandoned barn, like Herschel's barn in Walking Dead kind of stuff.
There you go. I'll tell you what.
And you know, actually, no, you know what? I'm changing my answer to specifically a barn with a fucking cornfield, like in Jeepers Creepers. Hell yeah.
You know what? I'll take your barn and I'll raise it with an abandoned summer camp, and
Ooh,
you know, so like
I like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'll choose the Fiend to pursue me, which is just very
you took the
obvious.
easy way out.
Damn right I did. You know who I fucking am? Hell yeah, I did. Don't come at me with that.
Okay,
Oh, man.
okay. You know what though? I'm gonna cheat a little bit since you already cheated by taking the easy way. I'm gonna pick Mil Mortes with Katrina so they can teleport to you.
All right, and I definitely think that I'd survive because I'm smarter and more handsome than all of you. So there we go. I mean, you can't kill the main fucking character, so I live automatically. You're all welcome.
You are so MJF right now.
I'm here for it.
So you're here for yourself, of course. Obviously, that's the.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, so I guess for my scenario, you know what? Fuck it. Nobody survives. Nobody survives Milmore. It's 1,000 deaths. We don't know 1,000 people. 1,000 deaths means that he's going to kill everyone we know and then some.
Wow. Great optimism. But
No, I refuse to participate in your optimism.
wow. All right. Next question.
We got 5 from Mark. First up, thoughts on Bushiroad buying Stardom and what it could mean.
I'm very excited for it. I hope they, I would hope sooner or later they streamline Stardom World to actually, accept freaking other payment options, PayPal, whatever, to be wider, to be more accessible to a broader audience. But I think giving them the platform that New Japan is used to, like the Wrestle Kingdom and stuff. Yes, she would, Foster. Yes, she fucking would, because she's amazing.
Christy would show up in like a fucking one of those like radiation suits with a fucking blowtorch and a machine gun, and she would just mow them the fuck down.
She would just be so annoyed too, like, oh, can I get back to my ice cream sandwich?
and then the Fiend would kick out at 1.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think the platform that Bushiroad is going to be able to afford Stardom, given that they have New Japan. We're already talking about Stardom women being able to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom. They'll probably be able to do more venues now with the backing of this company. Like, I choose to look at it as a net positive. The only negative, if we're trying to be a bit more even-handed, because they're going to try and work out individual contracts with the performers. Yeah. Ashton and I on our Stardom Live reactions have already talked about one such case, Natsu Sumire.
And Kaori Yoneyama, a.k.a. Death Yama-san. They're both freelancers.
And Death Yama-san, both freelance talent. They may not want to be pinned down to a contract. It would suck to lose them both. I'd say especially Natsu.
Natsu, yeah, because like we're really starting to love Yama with her team with Hana, but Natsu is like the best all around like overall performer, I think, in Stardom. Like she brings everything. She can talk, she's entertaining, she can wrestle, she does the comedy stuff, she can do the serious stuff. Like she's just an overall like all around very talented performer.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about it, though, man? Do you have anything to add?
No,
about, like,
I was literally going to just say exactly what you said. So you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I think we can move on.
It's a perfect mouth to take them out of.
Oh, my gosh. Second question from Mark is for you, John. Cut a promo on Seth having the nerve to call himself an architect for years and then burning down the Firefly Funhouse, the exact opposite of what an architect is supposed to do.
You're a fucking liar. All this time you talk about building things and being a genius. Look at how beautiful the funhouse was, and not only beautiful on the outside, with the structural integrity and everything else, but God knows those words don't mean a fucking thing to you anyway, you fucking fraud-ass bum. But on the inside, the friendship, the trust, the security, well, except for Rambling Rabbit, and you just decided to go in there and be like, no, I don't like this. I'm going to take a match and I'm going to burn everything. Like, what is your major malfunction?
We live in a society.
Yes, we live in a fucking society, and you're the only one that doesn't appreciate it. In fact, given that so much shit comes out of your mouth, has anybody even looked? And you know what? I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to do it right fucking now. Hold on, folks. I'm doing some real journalism right now. Wow. I'm doing some real fucking journalism right now.
I can't say I was expecting this. What a twist.
Because, yeah, we need to fucking settle this right now.
What are we settling?
Okay, yeah. You graduated from Davenport West High School. I see no college education. You just went right into wrestling. So you don't even have a degree in architecture.
Wow. You exposed the shit out of him.
Dude, not only am I exposing the shit out of him while at the same time preserving the business, maybe try it sometime, Sethington, you fucking loser, but you should be in jail. You've been practicing under false pretenses for God knows how long. I'm pretty sure that's, illegal.
It's called fraud, Sethington.
Get your shit together, you worthless sack of shit. Oh my God, I hate your face so much. Hashtag Seth Rollins is not cool. And you murdered someone. And you only, granted, you may get off because now they're back to life now, but at the very least, it's attempted murder. I don't know. We really need to stop Sethington. It's time to stop. So let's fucking get it, people. Let's stop Seth Rollins.
All right.
Huh.
That was really well done. Up next, our third question from Mark is for both of us. With Brock being champion on, or will Brock being champion on SmackDown be even worse than when he was on Raw, since there are fewer people to pick up the slack, like on Raw. Like when he's not around, Raw has kind of a stacked roster; they can kind of fill that gap. But with SmackDown, it's going to be more noticeable, is what he's asking, basically.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty bad. Like, if that Cain Velasquez match was any indication, which I watched it all in just one little goddamn Twitter clip.
Yeah, I
No
saw the
DQ.
Twitter clip too. It was like 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
Like, if that's what we're fucking in for, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's going to be bad. I personally just think, yeah, it's going to be awful. What do you think, man? You have anything to add?
I don't know. I don't know if Brock is even going to be the WWE champion after Survivor Series. We'll have to just wait and see there.
Absolutely. All right. Next question.
Fourth question from Mark for you only, John. Are you familiar with the surprise test, aka surprise hanging paradox?
No, I'm not. Should I look that up?
He said that it's related to philosophy. I'm going to read the full question to you. It says, since I believe I learned this in the one philosophy class I took in college and not just an episode of Numbers, are you familiar with the surprise test, aka surprise hanging paradox? So it's something philosophical related.
Interesting. All right. Okay, surprise test paradox. I'm looking it up on Wiki now since I already had the bums page up on there. Okay. Unexpected hanging paradox or hangman paradox is about a person's expectations about the timing of a future event, which they are told will occur at an unexpected time. Paradox is variously applied to a prisoner's hanging or a surprise school test. It could be reduced to a Moore's paradox. I think I vaguely remember that. Let's see. So, description of the paradox. Paradox has been described as follows. A judge tells a condemned prisoner that he will be hanged at noon on one weekday in the following week, but that the execution will be a surprise to the prisoner. He will not know the day of the hanging until the executioner knocks on his cell door at noon that day. Having reflected on his sentence, the prisoner draws the conclusion that he will escape from the hanging. His reasoning is in several parts. He begins by concluding that the surprise hanging can't be on Friday, as if he hasn't been hanged by Thursday, there's only one day left, and so it won't be a surprise if he's hanged on Friday. Since the judge's sentence stipulated that the hanging would be a surprise to him, he concludes it cannot occur on Friday. He then reasons that the surprise hanging cannot be on Thursday either, because Friday has already been eliminated, and if he hasn't been hanged by Wednesday noon, the hanging must occur on Thursday. So it seems like it goes on an infinite regress. Yeah. Joyfully, he retires to his cell, confident that the hanging will not occur at all. The next week, the executioner knocks at the prisoner's door at noon on Wednesday, which, despite all the above, was an utter surprise to him. Everything the judge said came true. Just take a second to step back in the logical puzzle. That's genuinely funny. Like, if somebody depicted that in an over-the-top comedy, it'd probably get a laugh out of me. Oh, well, now that I've taken the surprise out of it, I won't get hanged. And then you do one of those fade-in effects, and then they knock on the door. What? That's fucking great. Let's see. Let's see what else. Okay, this is just the school one. So yeah, that is interesting. I had never heard of it, so TIL, and I thank you for that, Mark. I think it's a very fun paradox, to say the least. That's really cool. Yeah, I'll have to chew more on that, because usually when I encounter a new puzzle or paradox, I don't really like answering it right away. I definitely want to give this some thought, but yeah, that's really interesting. Next question.
Next question. Fifth and final from Mark. What 5 matches would you make for an Evolution 2? And then he had an obligatory fuck crown jewel.
Ooh, that emphasis, Mark. A+. I personally, given that Evolution 2, I guess, could take place whenever we'd want, I would want it to take place just for my matchup after Kabuki Warriors lost the women's tag titles, and I would have Asuka remain heel, but Kairi go back to face by Kairi getting misted by Asuka after they lose their rematch for the titles.
Nice.
They get up, they hug, but then when they break away from the hug, Asuka just misses her, so I would do the big Asuka-Kairi match at Evolution 2, and I would give it 20 minutes. So that would be one match I'd do immediately. No titles, just a grudge feud based on a lot of history. Imagine giving the women something like that. Especially 2 women that aren't the 4 horsewomen. You can never go wrong with Bayley Sasha, so I do that on my card. Fucking hell. I would do Becky versus Shayna. So that's 3. Just because how she's perceived, because I know, Ashton, you'll probably groan and everything else, but just because of her packaging and her presentation, and I would have her lose, I would do Io versus Charlotte and have Io just definitively reclaim the moonsault, beating Charlotte. So that's 4. And then 5, I think I would do Bianca Belair and Mia Yim, who I know have tag teamed before on NXT, in a tag team match against, I'll say, you know what, Team Kick, Dakota and Tegan Nox for the women's tag titles. Those are my 5 matches for Evolution 2.
Wow.
What about you, Ashton? What do you got?
So who are the actual tag team champions in your scenario then?
Oh, Team Kick. Like I said, I would have them maybe get a rematch at some point, then win, be emotional for the both of them, best friends, overcoming injuries, and they're finally carrying gold together. And then Bianca and Mia just coming in with all that swagger. So, yeah, those are my 5 matches. Could be better,
I
but
like
I don't think
that
it's the
you
worst
kind of
criticism.
booked your way into a card. I'm going to just go with what we currently have, like what our current scene is. So I would say Bailey versus Sasha.
Okay.
Becky versus Rhea Ripley.
I like that.
Shayna. Actually, no, I don't want to have to do any booking. So I would do Shayna versus Io in a steel cage. Actually, they already did that. Fuck. Shayna versus Io, no DQ. And then you would want to have like people helping, I guess. No, God, fuck, that wouldn't work either. God damn it. Okay, I have to do some booking. I hate to do it, but I have to. Shayna drops the NXT Women's title because she gets called up. She ends up being the one to face Becky at this Evolution. So it's going to be Shayna versus Becky at Evolution. And then I already said Bailey versus Sasha. And then we're also going to get a women's fatal 4-way match in NXT to determine the new NXT Women's Champion. It's going to be Tegan Nox, Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and Mia Yim. So those are my 4.
Nice.
Women's Tag Championship match. It's going to be Kairi and Asuka again, because I still would have them as the tag team champions. Taking on VXT, which you might not know who that is, but it's Deonna Purrazzo and Santana Garrett, or it could be Deonna and Chelsea Green, because those are like the 3 VXT girls right now. So any combination of the 2 of those 3 women challenging Asuka and Kairi for the tag titles. And then for my 5th match, I would do, let's see. Can we magically make people healthy that aren't?
Sure. I don't see why not.
All right, Ember Moon versus Kaden Carter.
Ooh, I like that. That's clever.
Yeah. All right. So there's my 5. Next up, we've got 3 questions from Rotten Butter, who is in chat. I've been interacting with him. He doesn't like Prometheus. I feel bad. First Rotten Butter question, he literally just said, yes, we know what it is, though.
Yes. Had great time with the family recently. We were burning through the latest season of Shameless on Netflix, season 9. I can't believe the show's been going on that long. Watched some horror, like we watched one horror series called like The Typewriter. It's like this Indian horror series. So that was interesting. I want to say we watched something. Oh, we did Mindhunter season 2, which is really good. I hope they get a 3rd season because I actually really like the show.
What is Mindhunter? What is that?
It's okay. How can I put this? It's about this team, and you're pretty much seeing like the founding of like behavioral, like criminal science, like understanding like why criminals. I know there's like a specific term for it. I may have used the wrong term, but like why criminals operate the way that they do.
Criminal psychology?
Possibly. Yeah, like you're really seeing the beginnings of that. Like, why did this person dress up a certain way before killing their victims? Why does this person, after he kills his victims, who all exclusively seem to be women, sniff their sandals or something? Like why do they behave this way? In fact, let me even see if they give the term like actually on Mindhunter, because yeah, that's the cool part of it. And they go and they gather this evidence through interviews and stuff, and it's like an actual TV series. It's not like an anthology or like true to life thing or whatever. Yeah, criminals. Yeah, it's criminal psychology and criminal profiling in the early days of criminal profiling and criminal psychology, and they're interviewing people like Edmund Kempler. They did Charles Manson.
Yeah.
In this latest season, so it's really cool. I think it's really dialogue heavy. Like you'll never see a gun drawn or anything like that. Like you'll see certain like disturbing acts. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like explicitly horrific or violent or anything like that. It's just really like a fascinating, I think, like character study. And yeah, I'm glad to see Mark is also a Mindhunter fan. I just think it's really good. It's well casted. So we did season 2 of that. Haven't touched any anime in a while. Man, I'm itching for more Attack on Titan. That show is so good. And My Hero Academia, I know, is currently in progress. You and I obviously did a lot more Rocket League. We've been doing the Purge TV series. Mr.
Which has
Robot
been
final season.
awesome.
Yeah, it has. Mr. Robot final season. Watchmen.
I will say, though, just so far, now I don't want to go too far out of line because it's only been going on for 3 episodes now, but so far, season 1 of The Purge was so much better than season 2 to me so far.
Yeah, we'll see if season 2 can like really find its legs and take off running.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird having Rotten Butter actually present while we answered this. We've been doing Mr. Robot the final season, which has been, what was that?
I said it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we've been doing the Mr. Robot final season, which has been pretty awesome.
Amazing.
Watchmen on HBO is my fucking shit. I'm loving it. It does everything. Has an amazing cast, great plots. It triggers Nazis and white supremacists. It's the most amazing show ever. It's great. I love it. What else are we're gonna do His Dark Materials.
Did you mention BoJack?
Oh, BoJack. Oh my God. January is gonna kill me. Oh my God. Those first 8 episodes. Holy shit. So we did that. We still haven't done El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie. I'm going to have to mention that to the family on the next family day, I guess, when we get done Shameless. That we really should watch that because I don't want
We've
to put
spent
it off
a majority of our free time that we haven't been like doing this kind of work or watching or playing Rocket League, watching YouTube stuff. Like we've been keeping up with or catching up with a series of Minecraft YouTubers playing the SevTech mod pack together, and it's been really entertaining.
Nice.
What do you mean nice? I'm talking about us, brother.
I know. No, I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's just been good shit that we've been doing on YouTube. Obviously been doing a lot of reading. You know, I always skip over that. Trying to think what else. Played some 2K16, getting back into that after my data got corrupted, especially given the 2K20 looks like fucking ass. Heard a patch is supposed to come in. We'll see what the fans say about it then. Can't really think of anything else right now. Chief and I know, brother. If you want to hold each other and cry on the network, my DMs are open. Like,
we watched Big Mouth. We watched Big Mouth season 3, and it was amazing.
Yes, we did. That was fucking great. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head, so I guess I'll hand it over to you if you have anything you want to add.
Well, we actually watched The Golden Compass just a couple nights ago, and that's a really, really good movie, and I'm looking very much forward to His Dark Materials because apparently they stay even truer to the source material, the book. And hoping then that they can actually get past the first book on the TV series. That would be nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see, what else have we watched? I mean, I can't say this for you because it was actually my mom and I that watched this, but we watched the movie The First Purge. Like, not literally the first Purge movie, like the one with Ethan Hawke, but the movie The First Purge. And it's about, like, the political conditions that led to the Purge coming into existence and how just corrupt everything was and how, like, they used a real psychologist to tell everyone, like, oh, there's no political charge. It's purely based in psychology. And there was, like, no real violence from anyone aside from the one fucking psychopath that they let out of prison to participate in the Purge. And then all of a sudden they started sending in fucking murdering squads to kill people and just, like, storm apartment buildings and just shoot everyone up so that they could say like, oh man, there was a lot of violence on Purge night because it's the entire system just needed the Purge to work so that they could just get by with doing what they've been doing the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, it's a great movie. Great commentary. It's just awesome. What else have we? Because I know, Mom, what other movies have we watched lately that we've just watched? We rewatched something. Yeah, she's been watching Kitchen Nightmares. She fucking loves Gordon Ramsay now. That's another thing. We went through and watched a bunch of episodes of Hot Ones the other day, including Gordon Ramsay's. We watched Sasha Banks's, and there was one other one that we watched that I'm forgetting. It was another wrestler. Who was the first wrestler to do Hot Ones? I forget. Jericho, that's right. That's who it was. Jericho. We watched his Hot Ones. I don't really love Hot Ones, but it's more about just like seeing more of those personalities. So, let's see. What else have we done? I know we watched a bunch of trailers for stuff that we're excited about, like Rick and Morty season 4 and stuff like that. That's fun. Oh, yeah, you mentioned Mr. Robot season 3, but like Mr. Robot season 3's been fucking crazy. Primal
was art. Oh my god.
Yeah.
You guys haven't watched that, you need to.
And it's only 5 20-minute episodes, so it's not like it's difficult. You could literally just set aside like an hour and 40 minutes one day and keep up with it completely.
Yeah.
And we've been also, but speaking of keeping up with things, we've been keeping up with Kana-chan TV.
Yes, that's also been wonderful. Kana-chan is adorable.
She really loves cooking outdoors. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. Been watching all the football pretty much. That's the thing with me with football is like, I don't really actively watch it either. Like I put it on my TV and I'll look up and I'll watch, and you know, if I hear the commentators getting excited, I'll turn it up and I'll check out the replays and stuff, but I don't really actively watch it. It's more just like a background thing for me. I don't know. I've also gone back and rewatched the first few episodes of Lucha Underground, so I'm kind of slowly making my way through that series from the beginning again. What else? Lots of YouTube. I feel like maybe 70% of what I watch in a given month is YouTube content, you know?
Yeah.
Very, very excited about Disney Plus coming up in a couple weeks here. That's going to be awesome. From what I understand, it's only like $7 a month, which is pretty awesome too. And they're going to have a shit ton of content, all the Pixar stuff, all the Disney stuff, Disney Channel original movies and series. Like I'm going to be able to watch Smart Guy whenever the fuck I want in high quality. Like it's going to be amazing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's see. I don't know if y'all watch Tierzoo, but we've been keeping up with him whenever he uploads anything. Let's see what else. I'm literally scrolling through our Facebook messages, John, to find stuff. Oh, Silicon Valley season 6, episode 1 just hit, so we're obviously going to be keeping up with that as it goes. That was great.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man, so good. Very excited to watch PWG, you know, Bola 2019, 3 days, because we've seen the trailers, the previews for them all, and they look great.
Yes. Yeah, PWG's fucking awesome.
I've recently gone on a major Bernie binge where I've just been watching like all of the Bernie content. I watched his interview with Joe Rogan, and it was pretty great. Been keeping up with, you know, I don't subscribe, I don't think, to his YouTube channel, but I still get a lot of his YouTube channel's videos in my recommended feed because I've watched a few of them, and you know how YouTube is. When you watch a few videos from the same channel, they think you want to watch all the videos from that channel.
Yeah, YouTube's algorithm, pretty fucking trash.
Hey, I mean, it works, right? It might as well. Oh, man, it's so bad, though. Let's see.
Yeah, Ron Butter, you're right about that. I really should.
What did
you
Ron
said you
Butter
probably
say?
should just start keeping a list of the stuff you watch so you're prepared for this question every month.
Yeah, I've thought about that, believe it or not. I've actually thought about doing that. God. Been watching a lot of like theory videos on Marvel lately, and that's fun. Like theories, people trying to come up with what they're going to be doing in future movies and stuff like that, like what direction certain characters will go and stuff like that. That's always fun. So yeah, I think that's about the extent of that. Let me just briefly touch on the music side, because I like to kind of give a little bit of a playlist update every month. Let's see here. I know I posted a link on October 4th. There's a new song. I mean, I say new, but it's been out for a month now, so it's not new in the world of music. But there's a new song out by Zedd. And I've probably said this before, but I'm going to say it again because it needs to be said. Zedd is a fucking genius. Like, this dude is an incredible producer. He's amazing. Just the best. But he put out a new song called Good Thing featuring Kalani. And it's actually reignited my love for Kalani. Like, I've always kind of liked Kalani, but my lord, she's so good. She's awesome. Let's see what else. Panini, Lil Nas X put out Panini, and that's a good one. Terror Jr. has been cranking out new hits. They put out a song called 925. They put out a song called Crowded Rooms. They put out a song called Bones. They're all bops, of course, because they're incapable of putting out a song that isn't a bop. Maren Morris has a new song out with Hozier called The Bones that I really enjoy. 5 Seconds of Summer put out a new-ish song called Teeth. That's pretty cool. Niall Horan has been really killing it. I think I've enjoyed every song that he's put out that's been like a hit single. This new one's called Nice to Meet Ya, and it's more, I don't want to say bluesy, but it's definitely got a little more soul to it than you'd expect. It's good stuff. I'm not a big Haley Kiyoko fan, but she put out a song recently called Demons that I fucking love. James Arthur put out a song called You that I dig, and then I went back to Ed Sheeran's number 6 collaborations project and listened to a few of those songs and ended up adding South of the Border with Camila Cabello to my playlist. So there's your music playlist update, and there is your first Rotten Butter question answered. Second question from Rotten Butter. Thoughts on companies silencing free speech to appease their Chinese money lords?
I think South Park said it best for us.
Fuck the Chinese government.
Fuck the Chinese government. Absolutely.
And as far as those companies silencing employees, fuck them too.
Yeah. Well, you guys already know my pure hatred for this whole system. So yeah, fuck you suffices.
Third and final question from Rotten Butter. If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you going to call?
911. Fuck the Ghostbusters.
Fuck. I don't know why that struck me so funny.
I admittedly, full disclosure, I lifted that joke from Ask That Guy with the Glasses years ago.
I thought it was a you original. Damn it.
You can't suck the laugh back in. Way to be a slut for other humor there, friend.
Man. No, I mean, it's funny regardless, but it's so much funnier if it was offhand.
Nope, I can't lie. I had to be forthcoming. That was totally lifted. But yeah, fuck the Ghostbusters.
We gotta watch Ghostbusters one of these days, one of these years.
I mean, you have to watch Ghostbusters one of these years. I'm a pass.
Really? You have no interest?
Yeah. I mean, we still have to. I mean, personally, the only thing I'm interested in is watching the Halloween movies with you, like we said we're gonna do. That's my focus.
Yeah, the month is kind of over, isn't it?
Yeah, we blew it. It's over.
Well, anyway, next we have 3 more sets of questions, each from patrons. So each is 5 questions deep. So we've got 15 questions total left. First up is Abel. I don't think
Abel.
You should message him on Facebook and get him in here.
Oh my God, you're so right. Hold on. I'm coming, Abel.
I didn't think you'd rush to do it and pause the entire show in the meantime.
Fuck it. With how we do things on Q&As, we can spare like another 5 seconds to get somebody so devastatingly handsome into this. Abel, we're doing your questions. Please get in here so I don't cry. We're doing your questions. Please.
Oh my God.
Get in the chat. I'm going to send him a link. This way he has absolutely every...
Oh, Abel's here! He's here!
Oh my God! Okay, let's do it. do it.
First question: thoughts on Bray Wyatt winning the Universal Championship individual today?
I'm fucking psyched. It's amazing.
Holy shit!
I mean, granted, the human being in me and everything else. Oh my god, Abel sent me a hug sticker. Sorry, I have to pause the video again just to return it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yes, there it is. There it is. Oh my god, I stay winning. Okay, so it's amazing. I wish that Bray, the person, wouldn't have participated in the Saudi show because I stand by all of the social, political, all that stuff kind of comments on the show. However, I am an honest man, if not deeply flawed. I am still a huge fan of The Fiend. And as a wrestling fan, looking past all the ugliness, which believe me, you have to look way far out, I'm extremely happy that he got the nod on fucking Halloween, no less. He deserves this for his creativity, for his time, for his effort. A lot of people may have turned on him because of the Saudi participation, and truth be told, I wouldn't even blame them, and it's not my judgment to make. However, conversely, I haven't, and I don't think anybody has a right to judge that either. So I'm happy for him. I hope he has a prosperous reign as Universal Champion, and I am so fucking ready for this, and fuck Seth Rollins. So, yeah, there we go.
Second question from Abel. What's your favorite Halloween memory? I think we already kind of did this one.
We did answer it, Abel. I'm so sorry. I mean, for you, I would repeat the question, but I've already kind of taken up some time socializing with you, so probably have to skip that there. Next question from Abel?
Yeah, Abel, the question was already kind of asked earlier on by Iconic, I believe. Yeah, it was his second question. He said, what are your favorite Halloween moments? And we answered that, so.
But you know what, though, Abel? For this very unjust neglect that we're going to have to show you here, I'm just going to send you more hugs to compensate. So it's going to do that. What's Abel's next question?
If you could pick any celebrity to sit with you on a 14-hour flight, who would you choose?
If Kyrie's a celebrity, Kyrie.
Yeah, I think you're pushing what celebrity is there.
I mean, am I, though?
I mean, Kyrie would be D-list at best, honestly.
Wow, your fucking mouth right now.
Sir,
Jesus Christ.
It's not an indication of how talented she is. It's an indication of how popular she is.
Listen, I'm just going to have to regard your face as obscene right now, okay? I just need this.
Whatever.
But I guess
let's maybe aim for B-list and above. If we're looking in the wrestling world, let's not aim for anyone less popular than Becky Lynch.
Okay, well, I really will keep it to just Hollywood, though, in all seriousness. I will say I'll give two from Stranger Things because I would totally vibe with these people. Winona Ryder, because Joyce is the best TV mom ever. Fuck any other choice. And David Arbor as Hop. Because that letter narration at the very end of the latest season, I can't watch it without tearing up. I even said on a Facebook post, I always wanted Morgan Freeman, who that'll be my other pick, by the way, Morgan Freeman. I always wanted him to narrate my life, but the way he read that letter, David Arbor doing it, I would not mind at all. It's good shit. And the only other person, and I want to get his name right, so let me go on Big Mouth, because I know it's on the tip of my tongue, but I'd rather get it right than struggle. Jason Mantzoukas would be the other person.
Jason Mantzoukas, amazing.
So, Winona Ryder.
My shit.
My balls are about to shit. David Arbor, Winona Ryder, Morgan Freeman, and Jason Mantzoukas. So there you go. Those are four celebrities that I would love 14-hour ride with.
Yes. Okay. So the first answer for me is actually really easy because we were just kind of reminded of his existence by watching The Golden Compass. Sam Elliott.
Great choice.
Because when I'm thinking I have to sit next to someone for 14 hours, the only thing that I care about is that their voice is one that I'm willing to hear for 14 hours. And Sam Elliott is number one on that list by far.
Nice, dude. I love it.
I don't know if there's a person, I don't know if there's a single human being on Earth whose voice I would be more willing to suffer through for 14 hours than Sam Elliott.
Yeah. That's.
Did I just cut out?
A great pick, man. No, dude, you're good. I think that's a great pick. I really like that.
Yeah, Sam Elliott would definitely be my my first pick. Second pick though. I'm trying to think of more of like somebody that maybe like I could actually relate to and have a conversation with. So, second pick, I'm going to say God, and the thing is too, like I don't want to say somebody's name who is like a potential trap in the sense that like I'm gonna say, oh yeah, I want to talk to that person for 14 hours, and they talk about nothing but themselves because they're like a typical celebrity and they're self-indulgent and they're obnoxious. So like, I thought about Baker Mayfield for a second, and it's like, you know what? He's young. He's probably really fucking arrogant. I don't know if I'd be able to shut him up. I don't know if I want to suffer through that if it decides to go south. So I'm gonna pass on Baker Mayfield. Definitely not Patrick Mahomes because again, the froggy voice can't handle it. Definitely a no. Maybe Peyton Manning, but God, I feel like he would get annoying really quickly too. No. You know what? Dave Aranda. I don't know. You probably don't know who he is, but he's a coach in college. He's you know, people that pay attention to college football know who he is. So Dave Aranda. Although you know what? He's probably not a celebrity either. Like if Kyrie doesn't qualify, Dave Aranda probably doesn't. So forget that. Forget that. Forget all that. I'd say Tony Romo then, because I love hearing Tony Romo talk. He clearly knows his shit about football. I would like sitting next to Tony Romo too. So I would say Tony Romo for my second choice. And then for my third choice, I really want to pick a female here. Someone that's around my age, someone I might be able to relate to, someone I might be able to get along with. Let's see. Milana Vaintrub. I don't know if you know who that is. She was the AT&T girl for a while.
Oh, no, I did not know who that was. Interesting.
Yeah, so there you go. Those are my three options. So Sam Elliott for the voice, Tony Romo for the banter, Milana Vaintrub for the charm.
Awesome. Next question.
All right. Fourth question from Abel. Would a government run by advanced AI, statistics, and algorithms be better than a government run by humans?
I personally don't trust it. It really depends on how.
Here's my thing. Yeah, it depends on what the goal of the AI is. If the goal of the AI is maximize the economy, fuck no. If the goal of the AI is maximize happiness, absolutely yes.
I really don't trust it regardless, personally. I don't know. I think I'd have to know more about it. I think I would have to be more.
Yeah, like the thing is, it's an AI, so like it's an artificial intelligence, but it still has to be programmed by a human. So it would really depend on who's doing the program.
Because I even saw an article. I wish I would have because I've made it a resolution, and I'm not waiting for January to start it. But I've made it a resolution to like articles that I come across. I just want to stop and just like click on them and like read them through because I have a really bad habit of not doing that, like reacting but not reading, and that's a really bad habit that I'm trying to break. But I saw an article, and I wish I could remember who shared it so I could go on their page and recover it. But it was like this facial recognition technology that I guess like scans the face or whatever, like facial scan or whatever. It misidentified 26 people who happen to be black as like criminals when they had no criminal record. And I don't know, man. I think there's always a programmer behind the technology, so you don't really even completely circumvent human
That's
involvement.
my thing, is it really comes down to who the programmer of the AI is.
Yeah, and then it's a lot. I just have a deep distrust of it. It's not even like the technophobia. Maybe it's partially that. I can't lie.
It's more person phobia. It's more like, you know, it's more a problem of reducing the number of people in control of the government than anything, because right now there are like a few hundred people that really control the government, and it's awful, right? Like there's no doubt that it's garbage. But even in countries that we would say are doing better, like say like Sweden or Switzerland or I don't know, fucking Norway, I think is pretty well for themselves, but or New Zealand, like countries that we would say are doing a little bit better, they don't have like 3 to 5 people at the top. They have big governments where there are checks and balances. And with an AI, you've got whoever the fuck is programming it, and that's it. Like there's not going to be as many checks and balances. And once you kind of set it on its course, then there are no checks and balances because it's not going to check and balance itself,
Right.
So and plus, like, societies change too. So I think, you know, if you would have made an AI in the 70s, then what it thinks is best for us today might not necessarily be what is actually best for us today, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say it's too complicated of a problem for an AI to solve. That's what I'll say.
Next question.
Thoughts on UBI, how practical it is, and how likely it is to be enforced in the US at some point in the near future?
Um, Honestly, I wish I read up more on the negative side of UBI because I know criticisms have come out against it. I'm not just talking about like by conservatives, like left wing, and I mean actual leftists, not like liberal kind of thing, have critiqued UBI. I'm just not really well read on it. I personally think it's good as like a start because really anymore, I've started to think more about pragmatic measures, seeing as how like the country's just so bloated and like it's really hard to get like any meaningful movements off the ground, like independent of any institution to like fight said institutions. So I guess you just have to make incremental progress, which I hate for so many reasons, but that's just the hand we're dealt right now. And I think UBI is a step in the right direction. How practical it is, look, if you can have money to buy bigger weapons of war that nobody even fucking needs, I think you'd have money to take care of every citizen in this country with just like a universal income. And I honestly could see it being instituted in like the next 5 years. I think we're actually closer to it than maybe other people might think. I don't know. Maybe that's just a gut feeling I have. How do you feel about it though, Ashton? Because I feel like you have your finger on the pulse more on this issue than I do. So, what are your thoughts on it?
I think we're going to end up at the point that UBI is a necessity. And the thing is, I don't necessarily know enough about Andrew Yang's version of UBI to really comment on that. But as a general rule, I think that UBI is going to end up being a necessity sooner than later. Like I would say probably within the next 15 to 20 years, a UBI is going to be an absolute necessity because it's going to get to the point that so many jobs are done more efficiently and less expensively by machines than humans that you would literally be better off paying a human to stay at home and then just letting the machine do their job than paying the human to come in and do the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that a UBI will become very, very necessary. And which is also why I think that just like a bigger social safety net in general is going to become very necessary because, guaranteed housing, guaranteed health insurance. For me, even, I think that some kind of guaranteed transportation should be implemented at some point. Guaranteed mental health care, I think, should be a thing. Guaranteed education and guaranteed sustenance. And I think that's where the UBI would really be coming in, is just being able to fucking live and eat and enjoy your life in any way without having a job that was taken by a machine. So, and that's the thing is I am pro machines doing jobs that humans aren't as good at as machines. But then I'm also pro pay humans regardless of whether they're contributing to the economy or not. Like I think that all people should be guaranteed a minimum level of sort of dignity as far as they're living. Like I think everyone should be guaranteed a home, a roof over their head, food in their stomach, health care if they get sick, and all that stuff. Like I think that everybody should get guaranteed that stuff. And frankly, even education and internet. All that shit should be universal guarantees. And like if you do better for yourself, good for you. Like if you work at a company that still needs humans, like if you work somewhere that has a job that's irreplaceable by just a machine yet, and we're still probably going to get there eventually with AI, but we haven't gotten there yet, then good for you. You make more money than normal people. Or if you come up with an idea that nobody else has come up with yet and you're able to really make a big deal of yourself, you're an exception, but still, congratulations. You should definitely make more money, but you shouldn't be making billions and billions of dollars and robbing people and underemploying people and paying people less than what a person needs to survive on a full-time job. So I think UBI will 100% be necessary. Abel, I tell you what, man, I know that I've said this before and you probably aren't surprised that I'm bringing it up again now. You're such a fan of Andrew Yang because of the UBI idea. Look up fully automated luxury communism. Just look it up. Just look into it. because that I think is sort of the best case scenario of where the US is going to be in like 50 years. You know, like that's best case scenario if all the right people make it to all the right places with all the power. That's where the country could be in 50 years. So I think that a UBI will inevitably become a necessity. So that's how I feel about it. So and as far as whether it will be introduced in the US at some point in the near future, not in the near future, but in the future probably is. Probably way too fucking late, but it'll happen eventually. Jackie has 5 questions though, John. First up, what are your thoughts on the impeachment process?
I honestly can't give a substantive answer to this. I really haven't had my finger on the pulse of it, but I will say, and I've been saying this, I know to Ashton a lot, and I know it's not your fault, Jackie, because you're just asking this, but I'm very cynical it's going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
I'm in a state with politics where I'll believe it when I see it. Like, talk to me is just talk. Even your proceedings to me are just more, to me, with my cynicism, more superficial and for show. Look at what our party's doing. Look at us taking action that isn't even really action at all. I still think he's going to win in 2020. Like I have been saying since he got elected, he's going to be a 2-term president because I didn't think he was just going to serve just 1 term. And until he is formally ousted from office, so long as I wake up and the headlines are President Trump, I'm going to continue to believe it. So I really have got nothing to say other than I am incredibly cynical about the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I'm a little bit more hopeful. Like I think that they will get to impeach him, but I think that it'll be sort of a symbolic impeachment, kind of like what Clinton's was. Clinton, did Clinton get impeached or did he resign? I forget.
Clinton resigned. No, he was impeached.
He was. That's what I thought. But I think it'll be similar to that, where it's like towards the very, very tail end of his term, and it might only cut off like 4 months to 6 months of his presidency. But the point will be, we've impeached him. He can't run again. He's no longer your president. You have to find someone else for the Republican Party. Like that will be the win for the Democrats if they do manage to impeach him, which it seemed like it's going to happen, but then again, it seemed like a whole bunch of other shit's supposed to happen that, like John said, just didn't. So, you know, I guess I'm in that state where I'm hoping for the best and expecting the worst, you know?
Perfect way to say it. Next question.
We've actually got a question from Jackie just for me, and then we've got one from her just for you. So for me, describe your ideal Pokemon team. Now, this is... it's difficult because I'm so unfamiliar with all the new Pokemon, like basically Gens 5 and on. I'm mostly unfamiliar with. I'm more familiar with Gen 5, but I'm almost completely unfamiliar with 6 and 7. So I'll just describe like what elements would go into an ideal Pokemon team for me. So in game, I really just want fast Pokemon that have a wide variety of types, like, you know. So, for example, in like Fire Red or in Leaf Green, I guess it would have to be because Starmie and Staryu are unique to Leaf Green. So in Leaf Green, I like to start with Bulbasaur because he makes the first 2 gyms really easy. But then I like to pick up a Nidoran, and lately I've actually been doing Nidoran female in the tall grass and then trading it for a Nidoran male. Because then that Nidoran male will get boosted experience, and that makes it level up faster. But Nidoking is really what we're trying to get to, because Nidoking is a ground type and it hits hard as hell. So I'll have Bulbasaur and its evolution line, Nidoking, and then the only other 2 Pokemon that I'll really use by the end game are the traded Jinx or a Starmie, one of those 2, and Zapdos that you can get at the power plant. Because like those 4... And really, like, you don't really even need Bulbasaur in its line once you get Zapdos, because Zapdos handles all the water types that you might have to deal with. And, like, Starmie, if you use Starmie over Jinx, Starmie can handle all the ground and rock types that Bulbasaur would be otherwise useful for. If you do go with Jinx, though, you might want to use Bulbasaur for rock types. So that's cool. But, I you know, with that game, I keep it a little bit more condensed. So I would say, like, and the thing is, too, like, I have a certain list of types that I try and fit on every team, and they're not what you would expect. Like, everyone wants a fire type, everyone wants a water type, and those are cool. But the offensive types that I really like to have on a team, no matter what, are flying, because you need a flyer regardless in order to get around. And it's a useful type that kind of covers a lot of the stuff that psychic and fire types are both good against. So you don't need both a psychic and a fire type if you just have a fire type, or if you just have a flying type, I should say. And then so flying, either electric or grass. I usually prefer electric, but grass as the starter. If the starter is really good, like in the case of Bulbasaur, I'll stick with that. But like I said, I usually end up with Zapdos anyway, so regardless. Ice, because it's literally the only thing that can do extra damage to dragons other than dragon itself, which then, I mean, if you have a dragon and you're facing a dragon, you're also weak to their moves. So I would rather just go at it with ice. Fighting, ground, and then one of either ghost or dark. So those 6 types are what I like to always roll with in the games. But I've actually been trying to do a little bit more research lately, focusing more on resistances. So like rather than going against a grass type with, say, a poison type or a flying type or something, that's a bad example. Rather than going against a water type with an electric type, you would be more focused on going against a water type with a grass type, because the electric type does extra damage, but it still takes normal damage from water, whereas grass does extra damage and resists water. So like, I've been thinking more about trying to focus on resistances and not just offensive output. And I'll probably get around to coming up with some new team strats based on that. But for now, it's just those 6 types. As far as competitive, I really don't worry as much about type as much as I worry about like just a general team strategy. Like I always try and have something that can set up entry hazards. I always try and have a spinner that can get entry hazards away, or something with haze or something along those lines. I always use like 2 or 3 sleepers, and then like I always like to have a tank or a wall or 2. So it's more along the lines of balance there. But again, I care less about type in that instance, and I care much more about role and stats and stuff like that. So there you go. That's my ideal Pokemon team. John, the third question here from Jackie. From Jackie here, for you, John. Can you roast Vince McMahon?
Oh my God, any more than he already has been, huh? Let's see.
Any more than he roasts himself by existing?
Yeah. I don't know in my life if I've ever seen anyone that's not in my family and that's not a member, at least directly, of the political class that I so despise, be a bigger piece of shit than Vince McMahon. I mean, just to go down the fucking like Jackie, when you go back and you hear this, I don't know if you're aware. And honestly, if I didn't dedicate my pin tweet to Q&A questions, this absolutely would have been my pin tweet for everybody to see it. That Vince McMahon Twitter thread of stories about him. The dude he's narcissistic. He's malignant, he's belligerent, he's dangerous, he's megalomaniac. Like, he just absolutely is on a fucking power trip. And I believe he's a legitimate danger to the people around him. I mean, we heard such stories as he called the cops on Coach, a fucking black man, and he called the fucking cops on him. Coach was in tears, afraid for his fucking life as a joke. He did illegal street racing with another guy, and it pretty much devolved into a game of chicken, and Vince wasn't going to budge, but the other guy, because he was closed in and he could have hit something dangerous and fucking died, he stopped, and Vince was just kind of racing by, feeling triumphant with himself. He's a man that said he wanted to do an incest storyline with Stephanie, or that he thought about it, which that's disgusting.
Yeah, there was also the whole thing that he wanted to do an incest storyline between Stephanie and Shane.
Which, why would you even fucking think about that? The things he's done with it, like, on one end, it's like, I get it, it's wrestling, and he did have his comeuppance, but, like, I don't know, even his own children interviews, and I think that's why I'm bringing it up. His children, I remember Shane once said, you wrote it into the storyline relating to, like, his on-screen affairs, knowing that he was married and everything. Like, you wrote it into the storyline, you could write it out of the storyline. I remember Shane saying that. And so,
yeah, that's like, how many times have we heard Stephanie do an interview where she's talked about some fucked up thing that her dad has done, not even fully realizing how fucked up it was, and just being like, oh man, it was hilarious, knowing from our perspective, like, wow, that's a great way to ruin somebody's mental health well-being. Like, that's awful.
Yeah, you could call it wrestling or whatever. Like, even me, like, I was uncomfortable kind of saying it, because no, you know what the truth of the matter is? It's fucking predatory, and it's a power imbalance when the fucking boss, who's significantly older than a lot of the female talent he works with, is like, hey, you want to get on TV? You want to do a big angle? Let me put my tongue down your throat, damn it. And it's like, what are you going to do? Say no to the fucking head honcho of the fucking company that could fire you on the spot? And again, given those power imbalances, what do you think you're going to do? Take them to court? How much shady shit has WWE had dismissed in court? And, you know, the whole steroid trial.
I mean, the Ricky Steamboat thing, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's just so fucking gross with how he leverages his power on vulnerable people. That doesn't even get into the fucking Saudi stuff, which we've beaten to fucking death.
Yeah.
And he's just a terrifying human being. And, like, the thing is, if I was to drum up what little powers of empathy I have when I think about Vince, it's very clear to me that he's a victim of child sexual abuse. And he's seen some traumatic shit in his life, just again from that same Twitter thread and interviews. But here's the thing, and I'm not trying to be callous. I'm just talking about a fact of life that I myself try and embrace through my actions as somebody that's also seen some shit. There comes a point where whatever the state of your emotional and mental health, it becomes less a state of your being and more a license of what you use to treat other people a certain way. It would be one thing if Vince was honest and was like, you know, this shit happened to me. Somebody took advantage of my trust and vulnerability. Honestly, my heart would go out to him and I'd be like, dude, that's fucked up. That should have never happened. But, like, the idea that you internalized it and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to become so powerful and I'm going to become this way that nobody can ever hurt me again, and I'm going to be the only one that does the hurting. Not only is that tragic, that is so fucking horrible for everybody else. Yeah. Like, I really think Vince, like, the tragedy of Vince McMahon, if you want to get real, because you know something, and again, all due respect to Jackie, she couldn't know, because I know she's on a different schedule and everything. There's only so much you can roast a man, say go fuck yourself, eat shit. It starts to lose its potency after a while. The real fucking truth is, and the real tragedy of Vincent Kennedy McMahon is that he is the quintessential product of his time. It is a product that says men are better than women. It is a product that says might makes right, that wealth makes the world go round, and that's the source of power, which shows that, like I say, he's a product of his age. The age really hasn't changed, except a lot of people are starting to find their voices, and they're getting sick and tired of this shit. You know, speaking of BoJack, slight spoiler, makes me think of one episode, and I picture this being the same thing as a WWE meeting. It's like, it was this character named Turtle Top, who's like this sleazy Hollywood director that's like an anthropomorphized turtle, because that's just the world of BoJack, a lot of anthropomorphic animals.
Right.
And the assistants are going on strike to mirror the actual union that the BoJack artist team, congratulations to them, everybody should unionize, made. And the assistants are like, oh, our demands are simple. We just don't want to be treated like garbage. And Turtle Top puts out his cigarette and he says, I believe we've reached an impasse. And, like, that would be Vince. Like if the females came in, Vince, we've decided to come together and form our own union since, like, the whole locker room won't do it. And, look, we just want you to, I don't know, maybe not deal with the Saudi government. And, look, if you can't do that because I get the money's good, we'd at least like more exclusive pay-per-views. It appears we've reached an impasse, damn it. Don't you understand that you're only allowed to look good on my terms? Let's see, I'm getting echoing. Am I still echoing? Am I echoing for you, Ashton? Am I sounding good right now?
Well, let me just turn the volume down a little bit for you. There we go.
And yeah,
the thing is, if you're echoing, it's because they're hearing your voice both from your mic and then through my speakers through my mic. So if I turn you down, it should prevent it.
Okay. But yeah, like, this dude is just a product of that time, which again, as I said, is still going, but more people are being vocal about it.
Yeah.
And, like, even if at the end, because I really, It's hard for me sometimes, guys. Like, again, I'm trying to be as honest as possible so that I never stand on an ideological soapbox and be like, oh, look at me, look at how great I am. No, we're all fucked up on some level or another. It's hard for me with some elements in my family to believe that people can change because I'm just so angry and so hurt. And those are very subjective things that I'm like, oh, you'll never change, you're an asshole. But when I look at it more philosophically, as a guy that tries to do intellectual labor and tries to do that kind of stuff, I'd like to believe that everybody can change, that people are nothing more than an amalgamation of certain processes outside of themselves, environment, institutions, family, just all these things. I'd like to believe that even Vince in the twilight of his life could change, could really look at the sum of his life and be like, oh my God, I lived horribly and I just want to use this platform to say nobody should live as I did. Fine, pursue your money, pursue whatever, but do it that treats people decently, even though nobody is a billionaire ethically. I digress. Just be a decent human being and to sincerely apologize for everybody you hurt. Would it undo the harm? No, because the past is immutable. That's the one thing that can't be changed, at least until science fiction says otherwise. But it would be something. It would be something, but I think the scariest thing of all, in tandem with this man being a product of his time, is that he's the hero of his own story. He looks at everything he's done as, I did it for business, or I did it for the dynasty of the McMahon name, or insert reason here. And he doesn't even see on any level how what he does could set certain movements back decades or certain political causes just completely illegitimize or minimize them, like whatever may be happening in Saudi Arabia. Because I don't know, maybe people are organizing right now for a better Saudi government, but when Vince brings his business over there, it completely illegitimizes those movements because it's like, oh, this country thinks it's fine, or this business thinks it's great, and we're still on top. And what always consistently disappoints me about people like Vince McMahon and people cut directly from his cloth is they have the biggest platforms to enact social change possible. And keep in mind, folks, when I say social change, I'm not saying that Vince McMahon has to wake up to the Soviet fucking anthem every day and become a fully automated luxury communist, so that would be pretty fucking sweet with his platform. But to just be better. Just be better. Maybe advocate for certain things. Maybe encourage or telling. You know what? A union doesn't scare me. You guys do you. Maybe have a healthier working environment so a union doesn't even become an idea. But no, it's just I'm going to get mine. Screw everybody else. And then he's going to hide behind, even if he does it in his own mind, because I don't think he does so publicly, I deserve this because of everything I've endured. But we all endure shit, and we all have a choice to be better or not. And what makes Vince McMahon such a shit-eating, oh God, I fucking hate him so much, is just that he doesn't choose to be good. He consistently, in spite of everything that's happened to him that you think would nurture a deeper sense of empathy, he consistently chooses to ignore it if it's even in there. And just chooses to push people down and to harm them. And that's what makes him disgusting. I could go on the angry rants dropping F-bombs left and right, but the truth is, it's just fucking sad. Because Vince really is a mirror of what happens when you don't get the help that you fucking need. And then you're weaponized with that same help that you didn't get with money, privilege, and status that he has. And this is the fucking shit that happens. Devastation, suppression, and everything else in between. Like, that's the tragedy of Vince McMahon. That's my fucking rant. And it's really goddamn sad. For him, for the McMahon family, and for the industry that really huge hand in killing because he killed the fucking territories. And everybody has to suffer because he's on a complex, which, again, I go back to, I assume, is just one big defense mechanism for every shitty thing that ever happened to him, which shouldn't have happened. But we choose how we respond to the shit that happens to us. Yeah. Own your goddamn it. And it goes back. It's so funny that I talk about with the writing how they can't accept their consequences. Well, I guess art really does imitate life. Because do you that you have agency for every shitty thing you do? Do you just feel that you can't choose otherwise? It's really goddamn infuriating, and it's really tragic. And I hope everybody that's been through something, I hope everybody that's ever struggled, I hope everybody that's ever had their trust or vulnerability violated by somebody that they thought that they could trust, I hope that they don't internalize that and become so enraptured in that and so ensnared in that that's their identity. Because trust me, people, as somebody that's really been putting in the work in therapy and working through every shitty thing that he feels he's done and doesn't like himself and is learning to use different language, I promise you, whether you're Vince McMahon or some Joe Schmo, you absolutely 100% can choose differently. And the fact that he didn't means that I'll have to continue to choose to tell him to go fuck himself until one of those paths diverge. And I'm not giving up, and I doubt he is either. So we've reached an impasse. That's my fucking rant.
Way to bring it full circle there at the end, brother. Damn.
Oh, my God. All right. Next question.
I would clap, but I feel like it would be doing you an injustice.
I never know where my roasts are going to go, and even I think they go on way too long, but I just wanted to take it a different angle because anybody can curse and get angry. But it really is a fucking human tragedy, man. It really fucking is. It's sad. All right. What's
All right,
next?
so our fourth question from Jackie. How are you guys liking Stardom so far?
Loving it, Jackie. Oh, my God. Konami, Hana Kimura, Natsu Sumire, just Mayu. Oh, precious Mayu. Oh, no one will ever, Momo will never hurt you again, I promise. Even though she beat you in the 5-star and then you beat her right back and put her in her fucking place. I'm loving the ride. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Ashton, how are you enjoying Stardom?
Yeah, I have really gotten into it. John, I think that you can kind of speak for me here when I say that I've been actively seeking out Stardom content from...
Yes, you have. Yeah. Yes, you have, because you've messaged me on Facebook when you've done it. I can vouch for you 100% on that, for sure.
Yeah, like I've gone back and I've watched all of the previous year's Mask Fiesta shows. They've been great. I went back and I watched a few other things. Like I went back and watched Utami's Protest, which is the reason why we know that Konami is such a badass, because she got to do like a shoot wrestling match with Utami in that, and it was really cool to see her kind of in that element. Yeah, it's just been really, really rewarding. Really dig how character driven this promotion is. Like they aren't necessarily going to blow you away with the complexity of their storylines. Like it's not Lucha Underground in that way. Lucha Underground was story driven. Stardom is character driven. Stardom doesn't really care how invested in like the drama you are. They care how invested in each individual character you are. They want you to become a hardcore fan of multiple women in their promotions, and they're really good at getting you to go there too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun, really enjoyable. Really glad, Jackie, that you really kind of continued talking about Stardom, even when we weren't really showing as much interest, because it really can credit you with us kind of showing any interest in it at all, and enough to even start watching it, because you kind of talking about it regularly is what really got us interested in it enough to start watching the shows themselves and getting those subscriptions to Stardom World in the first place. So, yeah, thank you very much, Jackie, for helping lead us to Stardom in the first place, and we've been enjoying the hell out of it. Fifth and final question from Jackie. Draft your favorite female wrestler to Stardom. What faction is she in?
I guess Kairi's returning to Stardom, because I can't lie about who my favorite is. What faction was Kairi in before she left?
Kairi was in the company before it was all factions.
You know what? I know it probably wouldn't work with her personality, though she is heel now. I want to see Kairi in PCS. I'm going to put her with Tokyo Cyber Squad.
Yeah, that was my answer too for my person that I'm bringing in, which is Priscilla Kelly.
Nice.
And just to be clear, I'm not even necessarily saying that Priscilla Kelly is my favorite women's wrestler in the world, because that's just EO and that's just easy Queen's Quest. I'm really more focused on who my favorite female wrestler that isn't signed to WWE right now would be, that isn't already in Stardom. so it'd probably just be Priscilla Kelly. The answer used to be Santana Garrett, but she got signed by the Big E now. So, yeah, it would have to be Priscilla now, and I think she'd be a great fit in TCS. Although, yeah, the bright colors, maybe she'd be a better fit in Oedo Tai. I don't know.
All right, next question.
Next question is from Alex Foster, our final five. First up.
Yes.
This is just for you, John. Tell us how your speech went. Don't bother worrying about boring us. We're your friends. We want to hear it.
Oh, I saw that question, Foster, and it made me all warm inside. Love you so much, Foster. You're beautiful. Speech went amazing. Oh my God. It was such a crystallizing moment for me. Especially because, well, I'll get into that because you wanted the details, so I'm going to go a bit long on this. The speech itself was great. I must have been with them like 45 minutes, maybe closer to an hour, which was okay because originally we had plans to do Stardom, but good old Stardom World didn't upload all the matches on time. So I just kind of more enjoyed the presence of the audience. Pretty much my speech was, because I do a lot of public philosophy, so philosophy that goes beyond the academy and on subjects that directly relate to the outside world, say like police brutality, et cetera, things like that. And I talked about how public philosophy affords a kind of counterculture, because academic philosophy, I pull up the paper and read the stats, but I don't want to take up that much time. That would be obnoxious. But like very few black academics in philosophy, disabled academics even less. So like a lot of quote unquote like marginalized identities don't make up academic philosophy that much, but we're seeing more of it in public philosophy. In fact, this conference we recently had in which I was on the committee, unfortunately I wasn't able to physically attend, though I really wanted to, because there were a lot of talks that I wanted to go see. It just, the money wouldn't come together. So LOL capitalism. But there were, yeah, I know, it's sad. There were quite a few trans philosophers. We had one prominent black female philosopher as a keynote. Their scholarship's amazing, talking about things that, matter to them, trans bathroom debate, race issues, both in philosophy and beyond, in the broader world. So I was so proud to be on the committee for that conference. And we had a disability panel, which that's the biggest reason I wanted to be there. I wanted to support my comrades, my colleagues. They offered to pay for me to go, and I almost cried, but I have weird emotional hangups about borrowing money and stuff given my family history. So I turned them down, but they organized a disability panel. It was beautiful. I know this isn't about the speech, but I'm just giving an outline of what public philosophy is. So I'm talking about how it, produces a counterculture. I had a few critiques, this and that. Students were very receptive to it. I was so nervous to speak in front of them because in my mind, even though I'm an autodidact, so that I'm not the douchebag, autodidact is pretty much another fancier way of saying self-taught, learning on your own time, not going through a formal education type thing for something.
Wow, that is a douchey way of saying that. Great job.
I know. Thank you. I'm the best at being a douchebag. So I am self-taught.
used to be like, no, you're wonderful. But you know what? You're right, you are.
Thank you. See, that's what I wanted. That's
the energy.
That's the energy we're looking for. Thank you. No, but in all seriousness, I am, self-taught. And while I'm proud of where I come from, coming from a low income background, because I never would have been able to do college, not without taking on considerable debt. Because I will tell you, anytime a university is looking for what to axe, the philosophy program or something in the humanities is always the first to fucking go. And the market is abysmal. My grandmother, sometimes I think she gets upset with me when she hears how much I fucking hated business administration and community college. She's like, oh, well, why didn't you just go for philosophy? And it's well, because the job market's non-existent. And if there was, I'd have to go through so much institutional ableist abuse.
Yeah, John's one of those smart guys who went to college for something that could make him money and then followed his passion in something that doesn't.
Exactly. And I wouldn't even say I was, because I only have an associate's, because I could not do a bachelor's in it. I would die. So I don't know how far an associate's would take me in this market, but I would think farther than an associate's in philosophy. And that's not a diss at philosophy. If anything, it's a diss on the culture. But there's actually a happy ending to that story, but I know, again, that's not exactly what you asked about. But students were very receptive to it. One young man even said that he was thinking about changing his major to philosophy. which that really hit me hard. I don't even know if that's a wise decision, but I was too caught up in the feels to even tell him, no, wait, no, you might want to. Oh, it's too late. So you know what, though, I do think I will say, and well,
you should be more auto. What is it, John?
Autodidactic. Yeah.
Autodidactic. Yeah. You should be autodidactic. Teach yourself philosophy. Don't go to the fucking college for it, Dan.
I can't tell you, like, for the first few years of my career, I was looking for a formal sounding label. And they just said, oh, independent scholar. I'm like, wait, that's a thing? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm totally that. And I've just been calling myself that ever since. Yeah.
I love that Alex, you Googled, like, what is the most, like, professional sounding name for self-taught.
Dude, because I will say this, if my business administration associate's degree helped me with anything, and I hate to say this, but again, I'm just acknowledging the society that we're in. We live in a society, people. Get it
God
together.
Damn it.
It's that branding is everything. And that's why the whole, like, firm intellectus and everything, like, that is my brand. And, like, the president of the PPN, like, you know, her name's Nancy. She's given me so many opportunities and she's afforded me so much, including the speech. She even said, you know, it's amazing, like, how visible you were and you made yourself visible. And that's because I took every opportunity available to me. And I got a lot of rejections and stuff. But to think that I would give a speech. So the one guy said he was thinking about changing his major to philosophy. And I just have to read the full email because you asked. I got an email from another student that was at the speech, and it fucking sent me. And again, this is what it really crystallized for me. The email, I'm going to try and read it as quickly as I can. Hi, John. Mr. Altman, I'm not sure what to go with here, so please let me know if you have a preference. Side note, everyone, Mr. Altman, sexy as fuck. Rolls off the tongue just right.
That wasn't a part of the email. That was John's side commentary, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Every time I'm doing side commentary, I'll say sidebar. But I'm a junior philosophy and computer science major. See, they're smart. They're smart. They've got another major that's actually going to be profitable in the broader economic society. Yes. Always do that if you're going. And I'm being dead serious. Anybody that's doing a humanities degree, because I know we have some people that do, like, performing arts and stuff like that. I love you. Definitely go for that. If that nurtures your soul, absolutely.
And make sure, too, if you're going to do something like that, make sure that you don't do something that is easily done, like, automatably. Because I was a big dum-dum, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get into web design. I'm going to be able to design websites for people. And then you get these websites that literally allow you to design your own website. And it's like, oh, well, fuck me.
Exactly. You know, just be careful, because I hate this system. Anybody knows me for like 5 minutes knows I fucking hate this system, but you gotta eat. You gotta eat, and just know that you're always making your bread, because your passion isn't always going to do that. But your passion does something to me far nobler and far more important. It makes you enjoy what the bread makes you persist in doing. It makes you enjoy life. The bread sustains life, but no point in sustaining it if you're not enjoying it. And I made a similar thing to the grad students, but then they go on to say, I am into philosophy because I have a lot of questions which I'd like to find some answers for. You probably don't remember me in particular, but I attended the virtual colloquium you had, blah, blah, blah. And she made a poster for the talk, and I asked her to send me a copy of, like, the picture of the poster. She's currently swamped with, like, a lot, so she hasn't gotten back to me yet. But she said, I did a bit of research, and I found that I really enjoy your work. So, holy shit, I never thought I'd hear those words in my life. I've been meaning to email you since the colloquium, but midterm season got hectic. I wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. It was by far the best colloquium I've attended the 3 years I've been at the university. So, job well done, and ask a question or two. And then she asked me my questions, which I'll just cut out here because that's not relevant. I can't express enough how cool your talk was to me. Some of the things you said about academic philosophy are things I have thought for a very long time, but I have never been able to articulate them well. So hearing you say some of the ideas I've been thinking about for years was amazing. Also, I'm a big fan of your Twitter account, by the way. I apologize if this email is a little scrambled or scattered seeming. I'm aware that I can be a bit verbose. You haven't been in conversation with me. Feel free to ask me to clarify. She? Ooh, dun, dun, dun. Feel free to ask me to clarify anything I might not have communicated well. I know you're probably busy, and I don't mean to take up much of your time, so please don't feel obligated to answer any more than is convenient for you. Again, thank you for speaking with us, and also thanks for giving us your email. That was majorly cool and very appreciated. I wanted them to know they had a support system, so I ended up giving them my email at the very end. And I said, if you've got anything good going on, if you want to vent, because I know academic culture can be very, toxic, I said, I'm here for you guys, and I gave them my email.
And yeah,
so,
I was gonna say you've got about the most inviting email imaginable.
yeah, exactly. I really should have just given them the no pressure one, but that I
Oh, that's not the
digress.
one that you gave. That's what I thought you gave them.
No, I gave them my more formal one, the Furum one that I do like for philosophy purposes. I guess because I don't know, that's where my mind went. It was philosophy talk.
No, yeah, you made the right call for sure. I just was under the assumption that, what it really comes down to is I underestimated how fucking good you are at this branding thing.
Yeah, dude, I underestimated myself. Because, dude, philosophy has brought out aspects of me. Like, I've told Ashton this before, but, like, I never used to be organized in high school. Like, I was literally the kid that would just shove his papers into his backpack, and they'd look like shit when I got home. Philosophy, on the other hand, though, I never delete an email, and I have a folder for everything, whether it's casual correspondence, official correspondence, research, contacts, which there's already like a contact thing in the email, but I don't even know why I made that. Job offerings in case I ever wanted to, which hasn't happened yet. Publishers and other stuff. So like, it's just, I have something for everything. It's crazy. In fact, let me even see how many.
That's how I am with my bookmarks bar.
Yeah, my correspondence folder for like more business inquiries has over 2,000 emails in it. Like, I don't delete anything. I keep all receipts. I was never like that in high school or anything else. And yeah, just again, the branding. And just to kind of be a bit more indulgent, because you asked how the speech went, it's very emotional for me because I've lived here now. Starting next month, it'll be 6 years that I've lived in New Hampshire, which it's great that I've lived most of my 20s, in this state. It's a beautiful thing. But one of the first times I went to New Hampshire was for its Libertarian Festival, Pork Fest. And it was a great time. I remember I was like, I'm going to open up to people, don't give in to the anxiety, all this stuff. And I go, and I see a woman there. I start talking with her. She was like a middle-aged woman, whatever. And she said, well, what do you want to do? Like, I guess because I said, like, I can't wait to like move here or whatever. I said, oh, I want to be a philosopher. I want to do philosophy. And the first words out of her mouth were, you're not going to make any money doing that. Now, well, I've gotten paid recently, like for other stuff, because I've participated twice in the New York Times Disability Series. I never really regarded that as philosophy. I would regard this as such because I gave a philosophical type paper about philosophy to a crowd mostly of like philosophy majors. So there were some non-majors. I ended up getting $500 for that speech. And me and my sister, we just cashed the check a few days ago, and I told her that I wanted to give her the money so that she could pay like my share of the property tax come December. And the property tax usually ranges around like $1,500 on our property. So to know that I made the kind of money doing something that I love on nobody's timetable but my own, just following my own organic path, and I was able to do it to sustain a household that empowers me and makes me feel safe with the people I love. I wish the lady well. I don't wish her any ill will. Scumbag ain't going to jump out. But I can't tell you what it means to me, that I was actually able to make good money doing something I'm passionate about and to use it for, admittedly selfish, keeping it within my community, but, a cause that matters to me and maintaining the house and everything else. So the speech was fantastic on every conceivable level. And it crystallized for me that the one thing, regardless of how great I end up going down, in the discipline, whether people remember any of my writings or not, if I contribute any significant ideas or not, the one big thing I want to do is I want to be kind of that veteran presence. I've already been doing this 7 years and I've already accomplished a lot. I consider myself, in the words of Zach Gibson, like a grizzled young vet. But I want to be that guy that contributes to a counterculture of, uplifting people, encouraging people, because it's just so toxic right now. People competing with each other, being cannibalistic. It's a blood sport, and it's publish or perish. If you're not writing, you're not mattering.
Yeah.
And, I want to combat that. I want to buck up against that. And I think that's why therapy helps, because I want to be the best John Altman that I can be. And I just want to be that leader, even if I'm not a professor, even if I don't hold a post, even if it's not anything formal or administrative like that, I want to show that there are There is more than one way to the top. And that's why sometimes I've flirted with, do I want to go and get my degree? But I've always said, no. I think what I'm doing is important. I think what I'm doing, shows people that there always is another way, despite society maybe telling you over and over that there's not.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be that guy that uplifts people, let them know that their scholarship matters, that they matter, and that, we need to just start caring about one another, and not in that cliched way, but in that substantive way, advocate for people. Why don't we have many people taking up this post or many people doing this thing? And that email from that student said, like, that kind of feedback, that kind of empowerment that I left them feeling with, that's what I want my career to be. I want to be that kind of philosopher all the time. And I want to reground philosophy. I want to take philosophy away from the gods and give it back to the people, because, the ancients, before it was professionalized, it was a way to live life. And I want to get back to that. And I think I'm doing pretty well. So speech went amazing. And I've never felt more sure about where I am in my life when it comes to that. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And so that's all I'm going to say about that.
Fuck AEW, John's going to change the world, motherfuckers.
Yeah, fuck you, Tony Khan, and especially you, Cody Rhodes, smug, self-indulgent ass. Oh, God, I was so heartfelt and sincere there. I just couldn't help being an asshole right at the final stretch. Next question.
This one's just for me. With only a few weeks left until release, what are your final thoughts on Sword and Shield? I don't have final thoughts because I still don't even know what the goddamn evolutions of the starters look like.
Damn. We got to get you smartened up, son, so that you can
I can't give final thoughts until I know what. First of all, I mean, at the very least, the evolutions of the starters and their types is a necessity. But I really need to know what all the Pokemon look like, what their types are, and what their stats are, and what their moves are. Like, I can't give final thoughts other than that. I'm not going to be able to play these games because I don't own a Switch, and I can't afford a Switch. Maybe in a year or two when there's a functioning Switch emulator available online that can play Sword and Shield, maybe then I'll be able to get around to it. But I still haven't even gotten around to Gen 7. I still haven't even gotten around to playing Sun and Moon. So we're talking probably a decade before I even touch Sword and Shield, unless I come into some money that I'm not expecting.
I just want you to know that it's going to be okay, and that I believe in you to form opinions about this before this is all over. It's going to be okay.
I hate how long it's taking for the data to actually come out on what these Pokemon are going to be like. Like Foster just said, we're only a few weeks away from Sword and Shield being out. I don't know anything. Like there are maybe like 1.5 to 2 dozen Pokemon that are new or that are new forms that I know about, and that is it. And normally, you get like 100 and some odd Pokemon released. So we're talking about like maybe 15 to 20%, maybe less than that even, of what's going to be released has already been revealed so far, and we're a few weeks away from release.
Damn.
Yeah, it's awful. Fuck you, Niantic. Fuck you, Game Freak.
Yeah, I'll say. Jesus.
Okay, third question. If someone attacked you backstage like what happened to Roman Reigns, who in the locker room would you accuse of doing it?
Natalia, just so that I could have a reason to berate her face.
Dude, I knew you were going to say Natalia. I knew you were going to go there. And for that same reason, I'm going to say Charlotte, because fuck her.
Yeah, I love it.
And then it might get me into some matches with Andrade, and I know that he'll carry me to a 5-star classic.
Yes, I love everything about that. Next.
Yeah. Fourth question from Foster. What wrestlers give the best / worst / most obscure Halloween candy?
Kyrie definitely gives the best. I have to believe that. I have to.
No. MJF gives the best because he's rich as fuck and doesn't have any concept of what it's like to be a poor kid growing up, getting mini-sized Kit Kat bars and Crackle bars. He hands out full-ass candy bars to people.
Does he, though, with how much of an asshole he is?
Oh, shit. You know what? Yeah, he probably hands out, like, apples or avocados. Yeah, avocados. He hands out avocados, dude. Oh, my God.
I was even going to say Charlotte for that same reason. I bet you she gives apples on Halloween.
Who's the richest motherfucker in wrestling that isn't a heel?
I guess Seth's pretty rich, right? He's got to be saying Roman, maybe.
Maybe a few $100,000, but that's not rich.
What about Roman? You think Roman's making good money?
Maybe a couple million, but that's not rich.
I mean, rich and
you know what? Based on the fact, and my mom is the one that said his name. He's a dad now, so he knows what it's like to have a kid that you want to get all the Halloween candy. So he has that level of empathy, and he knows what it's like to not get a good amount of candy. The Miz gives the best fucking Halloween candy.
There you go.
That's what it is. It's The Miz. The Miz gives the best Halloween candy, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
MJF probably hands out tubes of toothpaste for Halloween.
Yeah, and what else did Foster say? He said best, worst, and what else? Oh, obscure.
Most obscure. Most obscure. I mean, God, who? Yeah, I'm gonna say Natalia for most obscure because she's Canadian and Canadians have weird candy and she's like really weird in and of herself. So she probably hands out like these super obscure Canadian like caramel sweets or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Abel, I love Abel's answer. Britt Baker gives the worst. I mean, talk about handing out tubes of toothpaste. That's perfect.
Exactly. Abel, look at you. Clutch AF.
But she's not rich like MJF, so she hands out the like vacation, like the travel size tubes of toothpaste.
Oh man. Yeah, obscure. I guess I like your answer for Natalia.
I mean, I guess for us, obscure would be pretty much any foreigner, like you know, any Japanese, any foreigner in general, because it's just stuff that we're not familiar with because there are different candies in different countries.
Right.
Yeah, like Hypothesis even just said, Japan has some strange candies. Like, yeah, have you ever seen those little like packets that you can buy in Japan where it's like a powder and a liquid, and you pour the powder into the liquid, and there's like this little, it's not like a hook. Okay, so imagine a bendy straw, but it's bent at like a 90-degree angle, but it's just stuck like that. Like it's not a full-blown hook, but it's like a straight line connected to a 90-degree perpendicular straight line, and you use that little hook thing and you just get it under the powder and you pull up, and the powder like coagulates with the liquid and it turns it into like a toffee almost. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So because we're American and because we are unfamiliar with non-American cuisine for the most part, I would say pretty much any foreigner you would probably be able to get away with saying has the most obscure Halloween candy.
Foster said he thinks Corbin gives people one Skittle, not a pack of Skittles, one singular Skittle. Yeah, he probably does.
No, Baron, I don't know. Baron Corbin seems like he knows how to snack. Have you seen his smiley face?
No, I don't think
his
I
smiley
have.
face tummy?
Look at you.
Corbin knows how to snack, man. Look at that thing.
Yeah. Damn.
I feel like Baron Corbin's the type that hands out popcorn on Halloween.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, it's not total doucher, but it's like, God, who goes to fucking trick or treat for popcorn? What the hell? It's like the ultimate, like, I'm not going to complain because it's not bad, but dude, why?
Yeah, for sure, dude. I completely agree.
All right, we're up to our final question from Foster and of this Q&A, and it is for both of us. Personally, do you prefer Daniel Bryan as a face or a heel? Regardless, he is wonderful.
He is. I think I prefer him as a heel, though. Yeah. And it's not even a scumbag thing. Like, he's just so good as a heel, but he's so good as a face, too. But I think he's only good as a heel after he has epic, or is only so good as a face after he has great heel runs.
Yes.
Because, yeah, so, like, I prefer him as a heel because he always generates enough heat to turn it into, like, a blanket of love that could cascade the fucking universe after the fact. So, yeah, definitely as a heel.
I would say that from a pure entertainment standpoint, heel, because it kind of loosens the leash on him a little bit and allows him to go a little more like, what do you want to do rather than what do you need to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, Face Brian is fucking gangbusters, man. Like, he's the most over thing since Austin. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate, but like, we've seen it. We've seen peak babyface Brian, and like, you can't even compare it to Becky recently. Because like, even at her prime, like, I feel like Becky peaked around like January, February-ish. And even then, Asuka was getting cheered over her in the Royal Rumble match. You know, like, she was always, she's been very, very popular, but she's never been as universally loved. And specifically, she's never gotten as loud of pops as Brian got when he was a prime in his face prime.
Right.
So I would say, from a pure, like, let me do it this way: for art, heel; for business, face.
Yeah, that's a perfect breakdown of it. I completely agree.
Because from an artistic quality, like, producing genuinely good segment like perspective, I think he's a little better as a heel because he's got that looser leash. He can do what he wants. He can say what he wants. He doesn't have to be afraid of saying the wrong thing and getting booed for it and stuff like that. As a face, though, even though it feels like he's a little more restricted, it still just fucking works, and it makes so much fucking money. Like, he's just dimes incarnate as a face.
Yeah, he is.
So there you go. Business side heel, or a business side face, artistic side, and creative side heel. There you go. And that was the final question of this Q&A. We got through all 49 of them in a little over 3 hours.
Yeah, not bad. All right, guys. Well, that was that. Just real quick before I hand it over to Ash to take us home. Next Q&A is going to be Thursday, November 28th. Will be the next Q&A. So when we get done here, I'm going to unpin the current pin tweet for this Q&A, which is Q&A number 40. That'll be Q&A number 41. So, yeah, November 28th. Get your questions in. You guys know how it goes. Patreon donors get up to 5 questions per Q&A. Non-Patreon donors get 3. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. And, yeah, we will see you guys on the 28th for that if you're here for the Q&As, which I know you're all here for more stuff than that. So I think – let me just see something real quick because I know I got tagged in something by Aaron on Twitter. I don't know if he meant that one match or more than that.
It was just the one match. You don't want to actually watch the video because it's probably going to spoil some stuff. But, yeah, it's just the one match.
I just wanted to see if Mass Fiesta was totally up yet.
No, only 3 matches have been uploaded. It's just that was the 3rd match.
Yeah, okay. So I just didn't know if I could proclaim that we're going to do it tomorrow or not. It's still looking like Sunday is more likely. But we'll see.
I mean, the thing is, normally they only upload later at night, like 11, 12, 1. So I think there's a strong chance that all of the Mask Fiesta matches are up tonight. If we do react to it tomorrow, it'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That way we're going to be, it's as late as possible without overrunning SmackDown, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you guys know how it goes. I'm going to hand it over to Ashton to take us home.
And yes, Foster, our next Q&A will be on Thanksgiving Day. So, but the thing is, we do it later at night, so y'all are going to have your dinners in you. You're going to be sitting down. You're probably going to take a nap even, and then 7 o'clock's going to roll around, and you're going to think, do I really want to watch this shitty Lions versus Cowboys game, or do I actually want to enjoy some entertainment? And you're going to tune into TWitWoW. Q&A, baby.
You freaking know it, guys. No better way to spend a Thanksgiving than with TWitWoW. But again, I am just going to hand it over to you, Ash, to take us home because I got nothing else. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you all enjoyed Q&A. You can leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Click the bell icon, join the notification squad. Follow us on Twitter and on Twitch, like our Facebook. Buy our merch on Teespring. And if you would like a 4th and a 5th, basically if you want your question limit raised from 3 to 5 in every Q&A, all you got to do is donate $1. $1 a month gets you up to 5 questions a month to our Patreon. And if you would like to join us in the TWitWoW official Discord channel, you can do that by donating $3 a month to the Discord. So $3 a month gets you access to the Patreon Discord and gets you those 2 extra questions for Q&A. So you get a couple extra little perks, and on top of that, it accumulates over time. So if you're active for like 4 months, that's $12. You could request that we live react to a 1-hour show. You could request that we live react to like an episode of NXT from 2013 when we weren't live reacting to NXT yet. You could do that if you wanted. So you have options. It accumulates over time. It's a $10 per content hour system. So, you know, it would be $30 for a 3-hour show, $10 for a 10-hour show, et cetera, for live reactions. It's a lot of fun, though. We've been doing a lot of interesting requests over the course of the lifetime of this channel. So we hope that more of you will decide to participate in that system. But regardless, all that we really ask for you all to do, whether it's tomorrow Stardom or Sunday Stardom or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday New Japan or Wednesday AEW and NXT, all that we really want for you all to remember to do is stay tuned.